everything that the new year has to bring. This morning, we are going to recognize a group of young ladies who are phenomenal. They are the champions. It's the Edison Girls Football Soccer Team. Girls, come on up. Push your chair like. The city is always excited to recognize excellence, particularly excellence in girls.
Congratulations. Oh, thank you. Congratulations. Congrats, girls. Congrats. 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 Come back down. Congrats. 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 Oh, congrats. Congrats. Congratulations. Congrats. Congratulations. Congrats, guys. Congratulations. Bless you. Thank you, Madam Chair. There's obviously a lot of talk when you read the press clippings about Inter Miami and the fact that we have Leo Messi and we have Jordi Alba and we have Busquets and now we have a Suarez, Luis Suarez, on the team, and they're traveling the world now representing the city of Miami, and will be hopefully playing in the city of Miami very, very soon in one of our facilities. Yet there's a story that I think is more compelling in many ways. And Pat, where are you, Pat? There's Pat Santangelo, who texts me about not just all of you, but all of the sports teams from the Little Haiti, Edison area that are really doing extraordinary things. I mean, I think even as far as national championships, so we've had national champion soccer players in the city of Miami from the Little Haiti area, and then you guys who have won the county Greater Miami championship, and you're going to regionals now. Let's go. Yes, give it up. Thank you. And, I don't think, first of all, I don't think many people in our city know. They should know. And thank you, Pat, for constantly bringing it to my attention. I think it's imperative that everyone in our city know that we have such talented and amazing young women who are distinguishing themselves. Like we always do when we give these proclamations, I want to thank the parents and the coaches who volunteer, who give up a lot of their time, a lot of their free time. And the parents, I know I have young kids. I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. My son plays soccer. And it's hard, it's very competitive. And you got to really, really spend a lot of time after school. You got to get your homework in, but then you got to practice and you got to gain these skills. So I just want to tell you how proud I am of all of you, how proud all of us are of all of you, how proud your city is of all of you. And I know some of you are living under difficult circumstances that Pat shared with me, and I'm not going to get into the details of that. But I just want you to know that we have your back. So whatever you need, we're here for you. Don't be afraid to ask. We're here with open arms, loving arms, not just to support you and to commend you for what you're doing in sports, but frankly, to commend the kind of people that you are and the way that you represent our city. So thank you. God bless each and every one of you. Congratulations, and win regionals and state and keep going, okay? Thanks. Hopefully we can bring you back and give you more proclamations, right, for more achievements.
And I'd also like to mention that they excel academically as well, because you cannot be on the team. You cannot be on the team if your grades aren't good, right? So I want everyone to know that you're not just athletic, you're intelligent as well. And I'd like to give the coaches an opportunity to speak. Who wants to come? Come on.
Good morning. First of all, we would like to say thank you for this invite. Our young ladies, they dominate more in class than they do on the field, but when they're out there on the field, they're doing what they're supposed to do. We would like to thank you so very much. It's hard, but we need the support, and we appreciate the support. So once again, us as coaches and Miami Edison Senior High girls, famous soccer players, we appreciate everything. Let's go, Coach Emil. Come on. Yeah, in Creole.
No queer. Thank you. I would love to thank Swire Maris and Christine King Commission, and that's our area. She give the Little Haiti Park. That's where we practice it with Little Haiti FC. So we appreciate everything like to come today. So we do hard work, really hard with Miami Edison girls to be here today, and we're gonna go for more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And like he said, I'm super proud of the team that is in District 5, the most unique district in the city of Miami.
Apparently the best soccer district in the city of Miami.
I believe we have one more presentation. Are they here? Are we ready? You ready? Come on up. Anytime we see Spencer Crowley, we get excited because we know he's going to be providing us with something fantastic. And this, I can't even count that high. I'm going to let you do it.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Great to be here. Nice to see you all. We're here today to celebrate the completion of an important waterfront public access project in the city of Miami. I'm here representing the Florida Inland Navigation District. I'm the Miami-Dade County Commissioner. Some of you may not have heard about FIND, but briefly what we do is we dredge the intracoastal to make sure that it's navigable for recreation and commerce. We also provide funding to cities and counties for waterfront public access projects that allow members of the public to access the water and enjoy the water responsibly. So the city, as we know, has a lot of waterfront infrastructure. A lot of that is aging and deteriorating and needs support, needs to be fixed, needs to be upgraded. So that's where we come in. We help the city with 50% matching funds for these projects. And the project that we're here today for is the historic Pier 5 at Bayside. This is the northernmost pier at Bayside. It's a historic fishing pier. The dock was deteriorating. The seawall was falling in. This was close to a $2.5 million project, and we are here happy to contribute almost $1.2 million to the city. So thank you all very much.
We happily accept. We happily accept. Thank you. And at this time, we are going to open our commission meeting with prayer. We have Pastor Stonewell from Cohen Temple. No? Oh. Is that a change that no one told me about? What's her name? Oh. Danny Morales from New Covenant Presbyterian Church in Liberty City. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to all of you. I'm Daniel Morales, or as some folks call me, Pastor Danny. I'm the pastor of New Covenant Presbyterian Church in Liberty City's southern edge bordering Allapattah. It's my biggest honor and joy to serve this congregation with such a rich history of forward thinkers. I want to thank our commissioner, Ms. Christine King, for extending an invitation for me to open this morning's meeting in prayer. Now, I know all of you are not just elected officials. You're also husbands, wives, brothers and sisters, parents, maybe even grandparents too. And as such, I know that while your mind is focused on getting down to the business of running this city we call home, we also have concerns and burdens of our own. None of us are exempt from that matter, regardless of what position we hold anywhere. No one is problem-free. I heard someone say in life, you're either in a problem, just left a problem, or headed towards one. And so with that, before I pray, I want to invite you to take a few seconds to center yourselves. Set your phones to the side for a moment. Put them on silent. Put them upside down so you're not mindful of who's texting or who's calling. Sit up straight if it's possible. Put your feet firmly on the ground. Catch your breath. Take a few deep breaths of your own. And silence your minds by focusing on the rhythms of your heart and your breathing. Let us pray. Holy God, we come before you this morning with hearts of thanksgiving and praise for the dawn of a new day, a new opportunity, another chance to do the work you have charged each and every person in this room with. We give you thanks that in each and every person we meet, every resident of this city we all love so dearly, every elected official present this morning, from the mayor to the administrative staff, to the custodian, to the janitorial staff, each one of them is fearfully and wonderfully made in your image. And when others feel threatened by such diversity, we give you thanks that in this, our city of Miami, we celebrate the richness of that diversity, for in each person, we see a unique manifestation of your creation. We thank you for the calling you've given each and every one of us to be good stewards of your creation, and most importantly, to love our neighbors as ourselves. This morning we give you thanks, O God, for these your servants, for our mayor, our city manager, our city staff, and our council members. We thank you because they have chosen the path of service to others. So we pray that for every decision that needs to be made, may your spirit of wisdom pervade all their conversations so that together they can bring about the common good for our city. As our commissioners prepare to tackle today's agenda, gracious God, I pray you grant them wisdom and a spirit of discernment, not to pursue personal agendas, but to work together for that common good. Grant that each leader and servant in this room would have eyes to see how our lives are all connected and how our common good is upheld when we listen and respond to those most vulnerable among us. Finally, Holy God, for each leader in this room, I pray you fill them with wisdom, strength, and courage to do what is good, what is just, and what is right for all citizens. May this body always put the interest of others above our own. May they act with love for the common good, and may we be good neighbors, recognizing and acknowledging your image in every person present in this room and every citizen of this beautiful and magical city. Once again, I thank you for this body of leaders, for our mayor, our city staff, our first responders, our hospital staff, and all those who work to make Miami the magic city, the city we love, the city we call home. I lift these prayers to you. I pray that you hear all the prayers that reside in the hearts of each and every member of this body. And most importantly, God, I pray for those who might not have someone to pray for them this day. I pray this in your gracious and holy name. Amen.
What a beautiful prayer. Thank you. Commissioner Reyes, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You all may be seated. At this time, we will have the statement read into the record by our city attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Detailed information about the processes, order of business, rules of procedure, and scheduling or rescheduling of City Commission meetings can be found in Chapter 2, Article 2 of the City Code, a copy of which is available online at www.municode.com. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of the City Code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to City Code Section 2-8. Any documents offered to the City Commission that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. In accordance with Section 2-33F and G of the City Code, the agenda and the material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the chair. Public comment will begin shortly and remain open until public comment is closed by the chairperson. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via the online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been and will be distributed to the elected officials, their staff, and city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials may consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to the elected officials, their staff, and the city administration up until the chairperson closes public comment. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall, located here, 3500 Pan American Drive, Miami, Florida, subject to any and all city rules as they may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state their name, their address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. The City has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public's support, opposition, or neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting in compliance with Section 286.0114, subsection 4C, Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity in time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney's office on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing a verbatim record of an item considered at this meeting may request it at the Office of Communications or view it online at www.miamigov.com. Planning and zoning items, P&Z items, shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. Parties for any planning and zoning items, including any applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making body as a qualified intervener, as well as applicants' representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the City Clerk. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications to remove the presumption of prejudice pursuant to Florida Statute Section 286.0115 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 and the City Code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. The applicant will present its application or request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with the staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to its deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV, miamigov.com/TV, the city's Facebook page, facebook.com/City of Miami Gov, the city's Twitter page, twitter.com/City of Miami, or the city's YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/City of Miami Gov, and Comcast channel 77, City of Miami. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Pursuant to advisory legal opinion AGO 2020-3 issued on March 19, 2020, the Florida Attorney General opined that consistent with prior Attorney General opinions, a member of the local government body who was physically unable to attend a meeting because of medical treatment or due to medical reasons could participate and vote in meetings where a quorum of the other members was physically present, although that is not applicable. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals to be providing testimony sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of City staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk, immediately after I finish explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning and zoning items and or quasi-judicial items. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules and procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes,
Thank you, Chair. May I administer the oath for the planning and zoning items?
please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If we will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, the PZ items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, are there any items that are being deferred or withdrawn on this agenda?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and to withdraw the following items. PH3 to be indefinitely deferred. RE3 to be indefinitely deferred. PZ10 to be deferred to February 22nd. And PZ11 to be deferred to February 22nd. That concludes the item.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair, do you have any items that you would like to have withdrawn or deferred?
I do, Madam Chair. I would like to have deferred to the February 8th meeting, PC 8.
Thank you. One can't hear you, it's fine.
PC 8 and PC 9.
Until when?
February 8th meeting, next meeting.
Commissioner Gabella, do you have any items that you would like to withdraw or defer?
No, not this one.
Commissioner Pardo?
No.
Commissioner Reyes? Okay. At this time, may I have a motion to set the agenda?
Move. Motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And at this time, I am going to open the floor for public comments. Anyone who would wish to speak on anything before us today on this agenda, please come forward. And for clarity, so that we know where you are, what you are speaking on, please identify the item that you are speaking on. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Regarding RE4. Madam Chair, this coming Monday is scheduled a federal trial in which the city will attempt to defend its redistricting maps, Brace versus the City of Miami. I'm not a plaintiff, but I have attended the court proceedings and studied the details of all the transcripts and supporting documents presented in this case. Madam Chair, regardless of what the commission members may have said publicly about the progress of this case, and with all respect for the able counsel that has defended the City of Miami, the city has lost each and every significant point of its defense in this case, and the plaintiffs have prevailed in their points of law and in fact. At the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas alone, not the full bench of the 9 justices, issued an order favoring the city only because of insufficient time to hold the election, not because the city won the facts of the case. Every reasonable observer of the case predicts a defeat for the city, none more so than the judges themselves. In pretrial rulings, Judge Lewis anticipated the city's loss at trial and clearly stated the reasons for doing so. We now face additional costs, perhaps millions of dollars, from legal expenses to further defend the case. You can ask the city attorney to estimate and declare the cost of the coming litigation. That would be responsible governance. This commission has the power to direct the city attorney to accept that the city's case is fatally flawed, immediately negotiate with the plaintiffs, and save us all the cost and time of further litigation. Continuing to defend this case would be knowingly wasteful for no purpose known to the public. My name is Mel Meinhardt. I live at 3075 Virginia Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Elvis Cruz, 631 Northeast 57th Street, here on PH2 and PZ1. Commissioners, I urge you to reject the new covenant because it would be harmful to the neighbors in many ways. It doesn't give them legal standing to enforce it, nor can the neighbors compel the city to enforce the covenant. The city did not enforce the current covenant for 7 years, despite being asked to. Covenants are basically a scam. Second, the waivers have expired and should not be renewed. They should not have a zero-side setback waiver because that's only for matching the block and its context. Here are aerial photographs of every property along the east side of Biscayne Boulevard next to Morningside, and every one of them has at least a 10-foot side setback, many of them more than that. Instead, the developer's attorney is arguing that this gas station across Biscayne Boulevard has no setback, and therefore they should be allowed to have no setback either. That triangular gas station parcel is an aberration caused by the convergence of Federal Highway and Biscayne Boulevard. It's perhaps the smallest block in the city. It is not the true context. Third, the parking waiver should not be renewed. Here's what is already happening on 55th Terrace, that side of the property. There are 22 cars parked there in these pictures. The city simply does not require enough on-site parking for many projects. They're trying to put too many uses on this property. There are other problems with the covenant, but I don't have enough time now, but I would be happy to share them. So please reject this covenant. Also, please, no billboards in city parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Mark Rosenblum, 1103 Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida, 33132. Chief Operating Officer, Perez Art Museum, Miami. Pam, good morning, Commissioners. I am here to comment on Agenda Item FR1, File 15416. I am urging you to vote against the repeal of City Ordinance 2-779. The sign on Pam property is nearing completion and will soon deliver the many benefits to the community and our institution. To start, it is a sculpture designed by Architectonica and complementary to our Herzog and de Meuron designed museum. This new addition will allow us to reach beyond our walls to deliver digital art to our communities. Pam's 40-year history has been critical to the growing art scene in Miami and beyond. This sign will allow us to amplify our message and grow our audience. We are committed to many of our cultural neighbors and will allow them to communicate their offerings as well. Our location is perfect to reach locals and tourists, and emergency alerts will be posted as needed. We have been planning this project for years, always with aesthetics and function as top priorities. The proceeds that will be generated are critical to keeping the museum like new and make up 100% of our 2024 capital budget. We have relied on this and need this to be a leader in our field, educate the community, and be a fiscally responsible arts organization carrying the Miami name around the globe. So please vote against our repeal. Do not support the moratorium. File 15425. Thank you for your continued support of Miami's flagship museum. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Doug Roberts, 1101 Biscayne Boulevard, Frost Museum of Science. I come here as the CEO of the Philip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science, and as a cultural anchor in the museum district and the arts area of the Maurice A. Ferrer Park. Today, I come before the civic leadership on a matter of great significance to our community which we serve. We find ourselves grappling with a concern that touches the very essence of our mission, and the introduction of extremely large, digital, freestanding, self-illuminating signs around our museum campus. These signs, although digital in nature, provide a tangible threat to the guest experience that we strive to cultivate at Frost Science. We're very concerned that these signs, if they're allowed to proliferate, will detract from the cultural activity that we are so vital for the city of Miami. Speaking as an astronomer and a planetarium expert, these signs produce a lot of light pollution, which bounces off the clouds and makes nighttime observing from places like our roof very difficult or impossible. Our mission of the campus is to provide a place of learning for millions of people that come through all of the museums in the area, and we want to maintain that for years to come. Therefore, with a sense of responsibility and commitment, Frost Science urges the Miami City Commission to revisit the ordinance regarding the outdoor advertising signs. We should safeguard the integrity of our campus, ensuring that the future generations continue to discover, explore, and be inspired by an environment free of distractions. In doing so, we not only protect the legacy of our cultural institutions, but honor the collective spirit of curiosity of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to make some brief comments this morning. My name is Luke Palacio. I'm here in capacity as President of the Board of Trustees for the Perez Art Museum, Miami, and I urge you to vote against the repeal of City Ordinance 2-799. This repeal would halt the completion of a digital sign that is 95% complete and weeks away from operating. This sign is the result of a thorough years-long process of evaluation and due diligence, resulting in a partnership that will provide much-needed funding to PAM. Funding that will support the ongoing maintenance of the iconic building and grounds that is home to the People's Museum. I've been a volunteer member of the PAM board for 14 years and am incredibly proud how we have evolved as an organization and how much we have contributed to the city of Miami's cultural landscape. As Miami continues to grow as a major international city, the arts are an integral part to the education of our children and the enrichment of all residents. Thank you for the consideration of my remarks.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and City Commissioners. I'm Carol Fritz, 111 East Flagler Street, and Executive Director of the Flagler Business Improvement District. I'm here to speak on FR1, to speak in favor of FR1 and repealing previous ordinances, and in addition, asking you to consider removing the historic Olympia Theater and office building from the list of sites that such signage is approved. This building and its exterior are of exceptional historic importance, including all facades. While a future forward approach may be appropriate for the historic structure, any project should be the result of a community-based discussion regarding the impact on the building and the downtown Miami Historic District, as well as the Commercial Flagler District. The Olympia Theater was opened in February 1926. In 1984, it was put on the National Register of Historic Places. And in 2005, it was joined by more than 50 other buildings to create the downtown Miami Historic District. Someday, there may be electronic signage on the building that celebrates the history of the wonderful architectural built facade on Friday night, and then the next night, the west facade can act as a screen for projections to celebrate the events we do on the new Flagler Street beautification project. Since we reorganized as a business improvement district in 2018, the Flagler District BID has championed the future redevelopment of the Olympia Theater at its highest and best cultural use. Not its highest and best use, its highest and best cultural use. Please remove this site until we understand better what that means and have realized our vision for this facility.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Therese Vento, General Counsel of the Perez Art Museum, Miami, 1103 Biscayne Boulevard, 33132. I'm here today in opposition to agenda item number FR1, file 15416, and discussion item file number 15425. I urge you to vote against the repeal of Miami City Ordinance 2-779 and to vote against the entry of a moratorium on Section 2-779 of the City Code to the extent they apply to the digital sign at Pam property that is specifically allowed under the current ordinance, and now, a year later, you seek to revoke. Unfortunately, the city improperly seeks to pull the rug out from under Pam's feet. Pam relied on that ordinance. Millions of dollars have been spent. A permit to build the digital sign was issued. The digital sign was built, and it is almost completely constructed. Pam has a vested interest in the sign that cannot legally be reversed after the fact. Pam has been a good neighbor. In positioning the sign, care was taken to have it face 395, not the condos on Biscayne Boulevard. Ironically, it will ultimately blend in with all the lights from traffic on the adjacent Signature Bridge. But Pam has been lumped in with other digital sign locations that do not have a direct effect on the condos. And alarmingly, the new proposed ordinance takes away due process rights to a hearing or an appeal before immediately requiring the removal of a digital sign for whatever reason the city decides. What Pam is asking you for is fairness. Please postpone the consideration of the proposed repeal to allow a thoughtful path forward, including a carve-out for Pam's sign. And finally, please do not impose a moratorium on the digital sign ordinance at this point, which is on the agenda today as a discussion item. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning to you all, Commissioners. I'm Marion Brown, 12300 Northwest 17th Avenue. First, I'd like to just put on record that Liberty Square does not need a charter school inside that development. That was one of the things I wanted to speak about.
What agenda are you? What item are you speaking on?
I'm speaking on DI2, the homeless. The problem that we're having with the homeless is that we have a lot of the shelters. We don't have enough shelters. And the shelters that we do have, a lot of them are actually rejecting a lot of the homeless. I'm getting a lot of phone calls that from family members, women with children. They're going down to the Camilla House, they're going to the Lotus House, and they're all being rejected. That problem needs to be solved. Then we have a lot of these non-profit organizations that's also out there that's supposed to be helping the citizens, and they're doing nothing, absolutely nothing. So that's one of the things that I wanted to address. The other issue is that, Madam Chair, you're an attorney, correct? PhD law? I say, are you are an attorney? And you PhD, you got your degree in, yes.
I do have a Juris Doctorate degree.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
The question that I wanted to bring up is that, I hear a lot of the commissioners actually getting targeted by the public. And for instance, Mr. Corolla. And what is coming up is that we have an attorney. Now, it's a set of rules and rules and regulation.
I'm sorry. What item are you speaking on now?
Well, this item here this is not an item. What the point that I'm trying to make is that I was speaking on DI2, which was the homeless, and then that's why I'm saying I'm transitioning to another conversation. And the conversation that I wanted to bring up is that the allegation that is being brought up,
Thank you. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Franklin Sermons. I'm the director of the Perez Art Museum, Miami, speaking in favor of digital signage at PAM. Thanks again for the opportunity to address you today. Art in Miami has always been about more than little pictures on the walls of our museums. Our museum was founded in January of 1984, 40 years ago, almost to the day, in the heart of the city, downtown. Rather than a room of pictures, that moment is perhaps best defined by Christo and Jean-Claude's Surrounded Islands, a project that was seen by thousands and appreciated by millions. Support was not universal at the time for something so strange, so different, that would change the look of the landscape. In 1989, a painter made 30-something paintings for our library. And in 1990, we got a giant drop bowl with scattered orange slices placed on Flagler Street, all in the heart of downtown Miami, across the street from our museum's original location. Art in Miami has always been built for the public, meant to be seen and admired by many. Rather than paintings, sculptures, or even pink fabric around an island in Biscayne Bay, today's artists embrace new technology to make art. And more often than not, that means using digital screens. Our screen will showcase the art of today in ways that no other city can match. We are good at doing things differently through what we call a Miami lens. Art is good for the soul and good for Miami. It has been for the last 40 years, but it's not free. Artists need to live, museum workers need reliable living wages, and at the Perez we employ 200 full and part-time people in many facets of work. Affordable housing and good schooling are the priorities, but everyone should also have access to art to encourage innovation and educate and entertain the mind, just as sport and physical activity foster healthy bodies. Like many museums, we can do more if we have more. As a nonprofit, we don't try to make money. We make a budget every year with the idea of spending everything we earn.
Thank you.
Half of our budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Nathan Curlin, 3132 Day Avenue, Coconut Grove. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I stand before you today in support of the repeal of these signs. This is like déjà vu, a mustard you've had before. For over 15 years, I've been coming before this board in opposition to any spread of LED signage. Whether or not many of you understand this, that presently an illegal 100-foot tall, 1,800 square foot LED sign is being erected illegally because they were turned down for a permit initially. Orange Blossom was the company erecting this billboard. They were turned down, refused a permit by FDOT. So what they did was go to Pam and get Pam to literally sign as the erector of this illegal LED. This does not enhance our city's beauty. These are advertisements everywhere you look, in the air, on the ground, on the water. This is not about making Miami beautiful. This is just another example of a company making money. Please, ladies and gentlemen on the commission, repeal this ordinance so that we can get back to having a city that enhances beauty and doesn't build more LEDs. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Tomas Kennedy, 2307 Southwest 10th Street, Miami, Florida, 33135. I'm here to speak on item DI7 and the need for the selection committee to search for a new city attorney as quickly as possible. It's quite frankly grotesque that you have not voted to terminate City Attorney Victoria Mendez for cost effective immediately. She has consistently provided incompetent legal advice, allegedly committed unethical misconduct, and needlessly dragged out costly, losing litigation. In fact, she loses almost every case against the city and spends tens of millions of our dollars on outside counsel doing it. After spending over $8 million in outside lawyers, we lost the first ball and chain lawsuit that is going to cost somebody $63.5 million. We're going to lose 2 more ball and chain lawsuits that could honestly bankrupt the city. We're currently losing 2 cases over y'all's unconstitutional gerrymandered redistricting. We're losing the Carenza Apartments case, and just last week, in a summary judgment against the city for an unconstitutional parking tax, the judge rejected every single one of Victoria Mendez's legal theories and all of her misinterpretations of state law, and now she could cost taxpayers another $100 million in that case alone. That's just a small sample of the disasters that she's responsible for, doing untold damage to the city, both reputationally and economically. And we still can't get a straight answer or response to public records requests about how much money she has spent on outside counsel. You all have given her a blank check. It's insane. I just heard that she just hired another 16 outside lawyers for the latest ball and chain case against the city and a dozen employees individually. When is this going to stop? Come on, y'all. This is an embarrassment to the city. Act accordingly. Set the house in order. Fire her immediately. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Peter Ehrlich, 243 Northeast 59 Terrace. I'm here to speak on FR1. Like Nathan Curlin, I've probably spoken on the item pertaining to billboards 15 or 20 times over the last 15 years, always in opposition to billboards, particularly in opposition to LED billboards, which are the worst form of visual pollution. Mural ads are simply billboards on buildings. I'm also a member of Scenic America, co-founder of Scenic Miami, and a board member of Citizens for a Scenic Florida. We ask you to please repeal any item that pertains to billboards and LED billboards and the addition of more billboards and LED billboards. Residents don't ask to see more billboards. Tourists aren't flying to Florida to see billboards, particularly LED billboards. They want to see our nature and our beautiful architecture. They don't want to see billboards. There are 4 states in the United States have banned billboards. All 4 of them depend on tourism. Those are Vermont, New Hampshire, Alaska, and Hawaii. States that encourage tourism and benefit from tourism. I ask you to please stop approving billboards, particularly LED billboards. And I'm going to give you all a CD on billboards as I leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, City Attorney. I'm Richard Milstein. I'm the chair of the Adrian R. Center for the Performing Arts Trust Board. I'm here today to speak on item number FR1, 15416, and 15425. We're asking today for an amendment to that ordinance to include the R Center and PAM as exclusions to the ability for signage as set forth in the ordinance. The presented draft of the ordinance indicates that 3 facilities, all of which are buildings within the City of Miami, are to be accepted from the change in the ordinance. The R Center and PAM are on the same buildings category as the 3 listed entities to be exempted from the change in the ordinance. The ARST and the PAM are in the Art and Cultural District of Miami and are separate and apart from residential units. The Downtown Neighbors Alliance and Biscayne Neighbors Association appear to have no objection to the signage as based upon some recent communications, but have concerns about signage in other downtown areas. The R Center has relied on the current ordinance by considering signage on its campus, which will assist in educating and promoting cultural awareness and opening the doors of the community to the fabulous world of performing arts. The iconic buildings designed by Pele can act as barriers, and the message of the signs will educate the public to the availability of the R Center to all. Additionally, the revenue from the signage helps monetize the operations of the R Center and permit us to continue the educational programming to every public student in Miami-Dade County during their tenure in the school system, and permit us to have community engagement beyond our walls and into the neighborhoods of the City of Miami. The additional benefit I found after reading the ordinance is the revenue that's generated by the signs to the city. It's a win-win for us at the R Center and for Pam. Today, I ask your vote to amend the current pending ordinance to
Thank
include
you.
the exception.
Thank you.
May I ask you all to be our guests?
Thank you.
Everyone else to be our guest at the R Center at some point. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Fayez Tanos Vasquez. I live at 1263 Southwest 21 Terrace. I'm here to speak in regards to FR2 and DI2. In regards to FR2, with all due respect, before considering changes to Chapter 2, Article 2 of the Charter, I think we should commit to upholding its current stipulations. Out of the last 22 regular and special commission meetings, only 3 started within 10 minutes of 9 a.m. Out of the 15 meetings that adjourned for lunch, all 15 reconvened much later than originally advertised, resulting in a total delay of over 24 hours for 22 meetings. The charter does state that the City Commission meeting shall adjourn at the conclusion of deliberation of the agenda item being considered at 10 p.m. or at the conclusion of the regularly scheduled agenda, whichever occurs first. I, for one, don't really, my favorite commissions are the ones that are actually the ones that last the latest. And while I understand the need for efficiency, I hope there comes a time when there is a commissioner who exposes possible corruption, and I would hate for FR2 to hinder that possible discussion. So I don't think that the pros outweigh the cons, or vice versa. In regards to DI2, many of the homeless I do speak to, I always ask them if they would like the tiny homes, and they all say they would. So any way that the commission can maybe reinvigorate that idea, I think it would be greatly appreciated by many in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning.
How you doing? Rafael Gomez, 7403 Southwest 82nd Street. I'm not a resident of the city of Miami. I just want to state that. I have a question. Am I allowed to speak freely? Am I allowed to speak freely, or must I speak on an agenda item?
The public comment is for agenda items.
Okay, listen, I don't know the agenda items, but I heard there was an agenda item regarding the city attorney. Can I speak on that? Okay, I heard that, I didn't want to speak about that. I'm speaking about that because the rules force me to. Listen, I'm here to protest the government. How is it possible that these city employees can use code enforcement as a weapon against the citizens? The way I understand what I read in the news, that's what I want to talk about. Is there a way that you guys can regulate city how can code enforcement be used by the mafia to target businesses?
Sir, lower your voice. We're going to keep decorum in this meeting.
All right. Listen, I don't have any. I don't have anything to talk about. I came to protest the government. I don't want to talk about this agenda item.
Thank you. Good morning.
Politicians, we got to get rid of them all.
Good morning. Gary Ressler, Telia Companies, 169 East Flagler Street. I'm here today to speak in support of item FR1. These proposed billboards are little more than visual pollution that provides zero benefit to residents. In fact, these billboards deteriorate the quality of life in the downtown core, which now boasts thousands of residents. As the owner and operator of the Alfred I. DuPont building immediately across the street from the Olympia Theater, and in my capacity as a board member of the Flagler District BID, I would further ask that you consider removing the Olympia Theater from the list of approved city buildings on which billboards can be allowed. Finally, I want to express my appreciation for this Commission's willingness to revisit past items and ask that you look at the movement of the MRC from downtown to the Mel Reese property. City services should be close to the people, close to public transit, and close to the seat of county government. I ask that you keep the MRC in downtown as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Javier Avignon, 1450 Brickell Avenue, here on FR1. I ask that you reconsider that item, table it for now, while perhaps there are amendments that should be considered to ensure enforcement and consistency across the board. I think an outright repeal is not the right move at this time. It would only cause an issue for those that are good faith operators that are operating under established city and state regulations. and not target those signs that may perhaps need to be evaluated for purposes of whether they are consistent with state regulations and city regulations. So we encourage that that item be tabled for now to allow us an opportunity to consider amendments rather than an outright repeal of that section of the code. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Fernando Mondi, resident from the South Grove, speaking on discussion items 4 and 6. Last week, several other residents, concerned citizens, and myself stood here before you to denounce the appearance of impropriety, which has unfortunately cast a reputational dark cloud over our city government. Following those remarks, we then witnessed the single most embarrassing and dysfunctional city commission meeting I've ever seen in my 48 years as a native-born City of Miami resident, that culminated in a near brawl that made international, local, and national news here on the dais. Since that meeting last week, we have learned that our disgraced, inept, and soon-to-be terminated city attorney has likely caused another $100 million loss to the city in wrongful tax collection, according to a Miami-Dade judge. We've also learned that our conflict of interest compromised city manager has yet to offer a cogent and defensible explanation for why his wife's furniture company has netted hundreds of thousands of dollars in city contracts, and that our ethically bankrupt and absentee mayor is now under multiple investigations for trading on his public office as mayor as he enriches himself and exponentially grows his personal fortune while engaging in multiple lucrative outside employment side jobs. So in anticipation of next week's State of the City event, let me save and spare the mayor from having to offer his unwanted and likely incomplete take on the state of our city. Yes, ma'am.
You're speaking on
the outside employment and on the charter reform items, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Under the stewardship of Victoria Mendez, Arthur Noriega, and Francis Suarez, the state of our city is broken. The state of our city is dysfunctional. The state of our city is corrupt. And that is why comprehensive charter reform is urgently needed and long overdue to restore that confidence that residents once had in our city government that was once respected, functional, and ethical. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you all.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Christy Tasker, 150 Southeast 25th Road, 33129. Over 7 months ago, on June 14, 2023, I came before the commission as a candidate who did not know where my district lines would be. I recommended to the commission and the city attorney they stop the gerrymandering case and agree to the map with the natural boundaries, which is ethical and logical. On August the 9th, the case was docketed in Supreme Court. Justice Clarence Thomas was to rule by August the 14th. On August the 14th, the National Republican Trust entered an amicus brief about the same time that the city attorneys also submitted their response. I come before you as a registered Republican to let you know that the majority of non-Republicans in name only do not agree with this choice, nor did we have the opportunity to vote whether that amicus brief was submitted. During the time the amicus brief was submitted, the district commissioner, Alex Diaz de la Portilla, who has since been arrested, was the District 1 commissioner and the registered Republican controlling the entire Republican Party. Mr. Alex Diaz de la Portilla was the City of Miami District 1 Commissioner at the same time he was also the GOP Republican Executive State Committee man, which then controls the party and controls the amicus brief. Since ADLP has been arrested, charged with money laundering, bribery, and other charges, I think we all know that part, but the public may want to know that much like the commission meetings, that Mr. ADLP never showed up to any of the Republican executive meetings either. Yet he had coverage from the mass amount of mafia moms that were covering for him. Many questioned this. Many filed multiple issues with the same people that have also been arrested in the party at the state level. Mr. Christian Ziegler, who was caught in another.
Thank you.
So I just ask that you please put Miami first, put the citizens first, put the employees first so that they don't quit on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Nicole Desiderio, 900 Biscayne Bay. I'm speaking on item FR1 regarding the LED billboards at Maurice Ferre Park.
I've lived across the street from this park for 13 years, and I have to say that as a regular citizen, I'm tired of coming down to City Hall. The reason why I feel compelled to is because the public is being lied to. A city official stood in this very room and said that there was nothing else in the pipeline regarding changes for this park. But I'm hearing now that these LED billboards have been in the works for years. I've seen renderings and budgets also for the park's beautiful green space to be paved over with pickleball courts, water parks, and now the LED billboards. I want to be able to trust a commissioner to do what's in the best interest of the public. As a public servant, that is your job, and not to make decisions in order to line your pockets with campaign donations. But I can't trust that to happen, and for that reason, I ask again that you remove Joe Carollo as the chair of the Bayfront Park Management Trust and replace him with our District 2 Commissioner, Damian Pardo, who will make the right decisions for Maurice Ferre Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Get them out. We're going to maintain decorum in the chambers. Clapping is not allowed. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman. My name's Andy Parrish, 3940 Main Highway. I'm here on FR2. I've probably, over the past 30 years, appeared before you dozens, if not at least 100 times. And I have to say, this is the first time in my memory that I've addressed all 5 commissioners at once. So I really appreciate you all being here for public comment. It didn't used to be that way, and now it is. I also very much appreciate your starting the meetings almost on time. I know you got a lot going on, but the public's here usually at 9 o'clock, and we really appreciate it when you start on time. Regarding FR2, the agendas, as we've all seen, get longer and longer and longer because there's a lot of city business to do. And I think it's appropriate. The reason I'm supporting FR2, which I believe Commissioner Pardo is bringing, is we need to address all these items and not have them carried over and deferred. So that I know limiting debate, Madam Chairwoman, is very hard to do, but I think you need to do it on behalf of getting the city's business done in an appropriate amount of time. Brevity is the soul of wit, as they say, and you're all smart guys. Let's get the city's business done and not talk on and on about every item so that a lot of the items get deferred. So all these reforms are good. I really appreciate you being here for public comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is David Sipkin, 1010 Northwest 11th Street, and I'd like to yield my time to Billy Corbin.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Where was I? I'm kidding. I'm here to speak on DI 4, 6, 7, and in support of FR1. I want to start by addressing the city attorney's remarks at last meeting. I will attest or swear, or whatever you want, that I'm not being paid by anyone. I am not a lobbyist. In fact, I'm the only person up here right now who is not being paid to be here. And in fact, to be fair, none of you would be here if you weren't getting paid to be here, and I don't blame you. Esto es un arroz con mango. But what I want to see stop is the defamatory lies about people in this community and their motives and their activism. Because of the projection, you cannot fathom, some of you, that some of us just come here to do the right thing and to speak up on behalf of our community, because you are so transactional. And in fact, no less than 16 times publicly, at least 5 of the highest ranking members of this government, elected and appointed, have accused me of this defamatory lie of being paid, and you know it to be a lie because the city attorney and you are in possession of multiple depositions in which the very same people that you accuse of paying me swear under oath in the penalty of perjury the truth, which is that they are not paying me. And now, Madam Chair, because of the city attorney's unprofessional, uncivil, acrimonious, and disrespectful misconduct, including the use of disparaging personal remarks, I'm going to file a bar complaint against her. And now let's talk about how things do get done around here. How are there illegal electronic billboards going up in the city? Passed in a time in District 2 with no representation, when there was no commissioner in the district, when there was no public input. How did that happen? And it is because, yes, people are getting paid. The lobbyist for this company and its subsidiaries is a former public official who is now one of the most powerful and highest paid people in this city. He is paid by the city to represent it in legal matters such as the Mel Reese negotiation, defending Commissioner Joe Carollo in the Lost litigation, and he's also paid by third parties to lobby on their behalf. 70% of the contributions to this lobbyist's political committee are from this one company and its subsidiary, the billboard company and the electronic kiosk company. So what happens with that money and the money he's paid by this city? Well, he pays it back to the people who hire him and to the people whose votes he needs. On no less than 2 specific occasions, the lobbyist was paid contributions by this organization and on the same date donated money to the political committee of Commissioner Alex Diaz de la Portilla. On no less than 2 other occasions, the lobbyist received donations from the billboard company and within days or months donated money to Alex Diaz de la Portilla. Right around the time the city was voting on matters relating to the billboard company and its kiosks and its electronic signs. That's how things get done in the city of Miami. This lobbyist used the same back door to Alex Diaz de la Portilla's office as Bill Riley did. And this is strikingly a similar set of facts to the ones in the arrest affidavit for Diaz de la Portilla and another lobbyist and lawyer, Bill Riley, that I mentioned, who are under arrest for bribery, money laundering, and illegal campaign contributions. I want to support FR1 and thank Commissioner Damian Pardo that things are not going to get done the way they used to get done in the city of Miami. They're going to get done the right way, the legal way, and with regard for the laws of the state of Florida, the ordinances of the city of Miami, and the Constitution of the United States. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Parks Suarez. I live at 4035 Battersea Road. As a District 2 resident, I am against the light spillage and the billboard sign. My biggest issue, too, is that the West Grove, Little Bahamas, is the biggest dumping ground for signs, political signs that are still there even as far back as Congress when Ken Russell ran. In fairness to District 2's voting without a commissioner, our previous commissioner left us in a lurch during his first 4 years and his second 4 years and left us for 14 weeks without a commissioner. So thank you, Commissioner Pardo, for stepping up and being here. I appreciate all of you and everything you do, but let's start by enforcing the code and getting rid of the garbage in the oldest black community in the city of Miami and clean it up, starting with the political signs. Talk about spillage, that's garbage. Let's do something about it. And yes, I agree. No lighted billboard sign. The Coppertone lady's coming down.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Tom Mazloom. I live at 725 Northeast 75th Street, and I am here to speak in support of DI6, the formation of a charter amendment committee. Let me tell you why. I own a branding and advertising agency here in Miami. Our agency has been around for 20 years, and our work is in supporting people who do good in the universe and have a positive impact in their community. In fact, our corporate motto is, we can do anything, we choose to do good. But as I travel around and as a branding expert, I can tell you that Miami has a brand problem. The prevailing opinion of Miami where I go is that we're still a banana republic, that we're living in the cocaine cowboys era. The reason why is obvious, and it's because of guys like Billy Corbin. Billy Corbin does nothing but spew hate about Miami, pointing out your incompetence and your corruption, your inconsistencies. And the problem with guys like Billy Corbin is that he focuses on the bad while I focus on the good. But the other problem with Billy Corbin is he's largely right. And so for somebody like me who would like to shut Billy Corbin up, the only way to do that is to remove his ammunition, and that would be removing most of you. Now, you're not going to step down because it's painfully apparent that your desire to hold on to power and your desire to hold on to your ego won't allow you to step away or take a leave of absence. So the next best thing is to create amendments to our charter that remove you. Now I hear the little tone that says my time is up. I hope my comments are a reminder to you that your time is also up.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I was going to just sit there and gloat about how the public have been aware and they open their eyes to what a disaster we have here. You, Manolo, you, Carollo, you allowing this to happen.
What item are you speaking on?
My name is Myra Jolie, 3191 Coral Way, number 1008, Miami, Florida, 33145. Maybe she didn't know I have that address too. But this is what happening
And the item
when
you
people,
are speaking on?
F1, F2, or F3, one of them. This is the time, I didn't say two letters. This is the time when the people can see we are spending, the money that you guys are spending is our money. $95,000 in a settlement for somebody who was sleep and fall in the street that somebody should have fixed. And I'm here also just to congratulate the two newest commissioners that really, you have shown that you are for the people. You know why? Because everybody's against you. Everybody here is against you. They go in the radio and they say that you are a liar, that you're going to destroy the city. But then I start seeing, this seems to me like Biden telling everybody that Trump is going to cause the third nuclear war. But then, who is the one that I have to be afraid of? So right now, the only people that I'm trusting here are the two of you, because everybody else has made money for themselves or have made their family rich, while we are the one who have to front the money. So right now, what that guy was saying, I don't know who Billy Corben is, but he's talking gospel here. He's telling the truth. We have to get rid of all of you guys, but the two of you. We have to get rid of all of you because people are costing us money. We have an attorney in the city, and we have a whole set of attorneys being paid by us. But when they're gonna get Milo Gabela out of the race, they bring everybody. They bring even CUNY.
Good morning.
Good morning. Louis Morris Betty Garza, homeless at Peacock Park and in the surrounding areas. Myra Jolie, the nodding lady behind Trump. I understand where you're coming from. She's already been kicked out once before. Now, under FR2, please increase our ability to speak in public to 3 minutes and give us maybe 2 proxies. And to those that pass the ordinance regarding no smoking in parks, I have a lot of proof of all your employees smoking in parks. You need to get rid of that ordinance. To you, Mr. Corroyo, who last time said that you're willing to go pitch a tent in the park, I'm inviting you to come on down. I'll invite Cat Williams, too. Ms. King, Kitty Rodriguez has not yet taken a bullet, and she needs to get out of your district. That place that she is in has to be condemned. And not much for the other two, except for apparently with Mr. Pardo, it has taken 2 gay people in the city of Miami to set all of you straight. And I am very tired of having to come up here and having to justify my presence, and all of you having done what you did to me in October of 22 in the decorum, under the decorum umbrella, and kicking me out of here with 3 linebackers from the Sergeant at Arms. And that's going to cost you $17,171,717.17. And I hope you're ready to add that onto your budget. Now, what I've got left is 33 seconds, so I guess I'll go with a couple of other items. On DI3, the discussion regarding the State of Israel bond presentation, tell those Zionist Jews and Freemasons no more American taxpayer dollars. Quoteth the raven, nevermore. Under the DI2, discussion regarding an update on homeless, yawn, but we will take those tiny homes. Thank you. Under DI4 and 5, laughable and yawn again. And let's see, discussion items 7. 16 new attorneys. You'll need them for my case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Grant Stern, 425 Northeast 22nd Street. I'm here to speak on DI6 and also FR, the limit of debate. I'd like to start with DI6. I think that this city needs a reform commission for our charter because we should actually consider changing our form of government. This is something that I have been advocating for the last 5 years. Miami uses a weak mayor form of government, and under the weak mayor form of government, the mayor is exempt from the Sunshine Law when meeting with commissioners, has only informal duties, and makes very significant choices about what happens in the city. Under a council manager form of government, someone is the chairman of the council. We don't even technically need a mayor's position. And of course, the strong mayor was rejected by the voters outright several years ago when Mayor Suarez put it forward as a ballot item. So if weak mayor isn't even good enough for the weak mayor, and the residents don't want strong mayor, then council mayor would be the proper form of government to change Miami to limit the kind of peacock strutting, I'll call it, that we're getting from the mayor's office and not practical work. What does Miami actually need a mayor for? We need a city government that is more representative, with more representatives, so that there's more people for the larger population that we have in the city today, and not the failed weak mayor form of government that isn't serving city residents. And regarding limiting the debate, if we're all limited to 2 minutes, then I think the commissioners can limit themselves to 5, including those who are a little obsessed with the private bits of their police chiefs. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else for public comment, the public comment period is now closed. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the City of Miami Commission meeting for October 26th? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Gentlemen, would anyone like to pull any of the consent agenda items for discussion? May I have a motion to pass CA 1, 2, and 3?
Motion.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion for PH1?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion.
PH1 will be amended. The resolution, one of the exhibits, needs to be amended.
PH1 as amended. All
As
in
amended.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'm going to ask my colleagues, are any, well, we only have, okay, PH2, we have to see PZ1 before we can take PH2 up, so I'll come back to that. Are there any items in our resolutions? Let me see. We have a mitigation item. Let's take the RE.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Go ahead.
So I would like to discuss RE1.
Okay, so we're going to pull RE1 for discussion. Let's take RE2, the mitigation.
Second.
Do we have staff present, ready for RE2?
Good morning. My name is Amanda Morton. I am representing the Mangrate Family Trust regarding 415 Southwest 32nd Avenue. There was a lien filed against this property on March 8th, 2021 with respect to
Madam Attorney,
Typically,
allow me to-
the city goes first.
allow me to start first, and then I'll yield to you. Okay?
Good morning, Director
Good morning,
Santos.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. How are you? The item before you, RE2, is the mitigation of a property located at 415 Southwest 32nd Avenue. This is based on a case from 2019 where the respondent was cited for operating without a certificate of use and business tax receipt. Notice of violation was issued on March 19, 2019, was adjudicated on November 7, 2019. The respondent obtained an extension of time, was granted 90 days. Through such time, it failed. An affidavit of compliance was finally issued on December 4th, 2023. The violation ran for 1,276 days and accrued a total amount of fines of $319,000. I am going to yield in a second to Deanna Rasco, who has additional information. I understand the offer from the respondent is $63,800, the equivalent of 20%. Ms. Rasco.
Deanna Rasco, Assistant City Attorney. This matter is currently in litigation. It is in foreclosure. The property owners have failed to pay their mortgage. The outstanding mortgage is $910,000. They're seeking to reduce the code enforcement lien to refinance, as I've been told by opposing counsel. Additionally, there was a death in the beginning of the pandemic, which resulted in this code enforcement lien. They have since resolved the code enforcement lien, and I will let opposing counsel discuss anything further that she would like to add.
Yes, the lien was filed in 2021. My client, they were at the time, immediately prior to that as well, as you know, dealing with COVID and also the death of a family member. They received invoice for $451 on August 23rd, 2021. They paid that the same day. I believe your materials include the confirmation from that payment. They also diligently pursued the remaining items, including the Durham application process. It appears that around October 2021 is where administratively things stalled a bit. They were not able to get a lot of information as to what was left to do. And of course, they were new and did not know much about the process, so they did not know the particular steps to take. They were notified on July 1st, 2022 that the certificate of use had expired, but the notification did not give a specific reason. They inquired subsequently by email, but were not able to get a response that was specific enough to allow them to know what they needed to do to correct that. And as a result, there was a significant amount of delay, and so this process has continued. Interest continued to accrue and has created quite a financial hardship for them. As a result, they would request that the lien amount be mitigated substantially.
Counsel, if I just ask a question, is the offer, because I didn't hear it, I'm sorry, is the offer still $63,800? It's not?
Can I say something? This all resulted, our father died in August of 2020 from COVID. We inherited this property and his estate knowing nothing of the business. So that's one. Number two, we're on foreclosure, not because we didn't pay. We're in foreclosure because it was a technical foreclosure because the guarantor of that loan passed. And so we're in this process of trying to negotiate and refinance because we couldn't refinance until we paid our estate tax, which was substantial. And we have done the steps that we needed to do on our end. Before 2020, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? But we're learning as we go, and to get this fine when we've done everything that we've had to do to move forward, I think is a little much for a BTR. So as much as it can be reduced, I would really appreciate it.
Chair, my apologies. Can I have the speaker's name for the record? Ma'am?
I am Jessica Gonzalez Reynoso. I'm the executor and the trustee of the estate and the trust.
Good morning. My name is Francisco Regalado. I was brought on to help these young ladies at the time of their father's passing. I'm going to be brief. I just want to give you a timeline of the steps that were taken by our office. As they said, we submitted an application to the City of Miami for the obtaining of a certificate of use on August 16, 2021. We then went and paid the $451 upfront fee. The second step in acquiring a COU is you have to submit a copy of the application from the City of Miami to Miami-Dade County Durham for their review. That was done on September 15th, 2021. We paid the $80.22 for the upfront fee for Miami-Dade County. The step after that is you need to start acquiring your inspections from the city. The code compliance inspection from the city was approved on, hold on, tell you here, I'm reading quick, on September 28, 2021. Then we obtained a fire inspection. There's a copy of the approved and signed inspection card here. On October 29, 2021, the procedure after that, once we obtained the required city inspections, Durham's approval is basically they don't visit the property. It's more of a revision or administrative review. That's where the wheels started to slow down. At that time, Durham was closed to the public. The only way to contact Durham was through telephone or through email. Their employees were working remotely. It was a really long process. I don't know. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Durham process. It's lengthy to start off with, but when COVID was introduced and they started working remotely and you could do it, we have emails of one of the trustees writing to employees at Durham, one specifically, Maide Izquierdo, asking her for help, that she was not familiar with the process, that what could we do? And they kept saying, it's in review, it's in review. We're backed up, we're working remotely. We couldn't get to talk to somebody to explain to us what was going on. And look, I'm not blaming anybody. That was a very difficult time. Everybody was working remotely. You couldn't get access to anybody. Everybody was dealing with stuff that COVID brought along. I know you're about to cut me off, but I've reviewed their finances. They're trying to get everything set up. Even $63,200 is economically devastating to them at this point.
Thank you. Commissioner, I believe this is your district.
Were their father the one that did not get the tax license and the other license that he needed to?
Did not. I mean, this has been, they're correct. It was during COVID, but facts are facts, right?
I understand, but that's not my question. Was it the father that, what I'm trying to attain is, was the business rented?
Who was the violator?
If it was somebody that was renting, like sometimes happens.
Right. The respondent is a trust. This is Gonzalez Trust. That's who we cite and who we go through our process. So this is an 8-unit apartment building. I spoke with staff from District 2 regarding, because there were some concerns, kept in relatively good shape and well maintained. And so the issue is the operation without the CU and BTR for that period of time.
Did they have one before?
Yes.
What happened? They let it expired, or?
I can't, yeah. It must have had, and they did not renew, so technically we're going since March of 2019 when it was originally cited.
March of 19?
Yes, sir.
When did your father die?
August 12th, 2020.
Okay. So, this is not sounding to me like habitual individuals that just don't care for our laws and one to get away with something. They've had their license in order until 19. For whatever reason, they didn't comply. Then came COVID. The father dies, and they're in the dilemma. When did they finally comply?
So the final compliance, the effective date is December 2023.
December 2023.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And-
So there's a middle of the road without going into the weeds. You know, the property during the previous 10 years had a number of cases. This is the only one that was adjudicated. 12 code cases, as I prepared. Some solid waste violations, and one fire case. All resolved. So why am I saying that? Is because it's not an isolated violation that got adjudicated. There's some. There's been significant work. Now, I understand, I never spoke with council regarding, the accruals and what we had received as their offer. But I could see your consideration for something lower, and definitely we don't object.
You know what I think we need to do up here is to be fair. I don't think you could have, and we discussed this, a one line fits all.
Right.
And this is not a habitual offender. And certainly it doesn't sound like it's someone that's trying to get away.
Correct.
Would want to put, the city at loss.
Right.
What is the amount that was owed up to the time that they paid?
So the total accrual is for 1,276 days is $319,000.
$319,000.
Yes, sir.
And what is it that they're offering?
So they offer 20%, which is $63,800. Commissioner, you're absolutely on target. Statutorily, we're going case by case based on mitigating and aggravating circumstances.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think they are not too convinced about it. I see them shaking their heads,
Right.
and then
If it was understood as an offer, it wasn't our intention. We have been informed that the most that the city would reduce it to would be 20%. So we figured that that would be the starting point.
Okay.
There is no way that with their financial situation, would it have been responsible for us to even offer 20%? I just want to make sure that it wasn't like we offered it. That was under understanding because we had been told that the maximum that the city would reduce it to would be that if it was anything further than that, we would have to come in front of the commission.
You're on track. You're
Okay.
doing okay. It's what they're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner. I wanted to get this straight. How much money does the city have into this?
I couldn't give you a response right now because I would have to look at comprehensively all the other inspections. That's what we want to do. But I'm going to tell you, if you were to ask me what a reasonable offer would be, I would say 10% is more than reasonable.
We
Yes, sir.
will not go below that unless there's a tremendous set of circumstances. We have not gone below 10%. Now, at 10%, from what I've heard, does it cover, in your estimate, whatever cost we had to put into it?
I would say yes.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we would accept 10% if they offer it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a motion and a second for 10%. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And
Thank
for
you so
clarity,
much.
As
Madam
amended.
Chair,
As amended.
the amount of 10% would be $31,900.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, everyone.
We all are.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to take up RE4. I'm sure that my colleagues may have some discussion. RE4 is to direct our city attorney to enter into settlement negotiations for the redistricting. It is solely to allow the city commission to negotiate on a settlement. Nothing has been, I want to get this out for the record, nothing has been decided, no settlement has been reached. This is to give you the authorization to enter into settlement agreements. Is that correct?
Settlement discussions.
Settlement discussions, I'm
Right,
sorry.
because any agreement would have to
Come back before us.
Right.
So do
just-
I have a motion for discussion purposes for RE4?
I'll make the motion.
Before I second, I want to clarify this.
Okay.
Once you start the discussion.
Any map or settlement would have to come before
That's
you,
right,
and we're
but,
probably going to
I wanna-
have a shade meeting.
I want to make it clear that while you are in discussion, that we have a code of silence, right?
We have a what?
Code of silence. We don't have to, we cannot comment about it.
I think
but
he's
you are
talking.
talking.
It's confidential. It's
It's
confidential.
confidential.
It is confidential.
It's confidential. And are you going to brief us on how it is what's going on?
Yes.
In shade meetings?
Yes, you'll
So
be briefed, and we'll probably have a shade meeting as well.
We could all be informed, so we cannot, misinform the population if they ask.
Right. Right now, there's nothing to inform the population. We have to first try and get
And we cannot publicly talk about this.
No, right. Not
Okay.
right now.
Okay, I second it.
Okay,
Commissioner?
Mr. Pardo, what do you mean by exhausting all options and opportunities for settlement?
It means to do everything possible so that we don't continue proceedings and keep accruing legal costs, which would be very significant in a trial.
The question is, the ultimate decision really falls on this body. The city attorney can only, with the administration, negotiate
And then bring it back to this body to make a decision.
Perfect.
in a shade meeting. Otherwise,
That's great.
you're putting the city attorney and the administration in a bind.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
All right, so we're clear then what we're asking them to do. They're going to negotiate with the other side.
And bring back.
They bring it back, and then we will deal with it in a shade meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's acceptable. I think that's a fair resolution.
Commissioner Cabello, do you?
No, you know what? I think the Carollo and Mr.
So,
Pardo cleared it up. I'll
may
go
I have a
along with it.
second?
Not a problem. Second.
Commissioner Reyes seconded at
Okay,
10:54.
so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
FR1?
There was a companion resolution to this that
No,
Mr.
for
Gavella had.
FR1? No, that's RE1. I'm sorry.
but-
That's PH2.
But wasn't the same thing?
There is a
related to this?
companion DI9 that we can take.
Yeah.
Oh, for FR1?
Yeah, it comes out as moratorium, but it makes sense to have it as a companion.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner?
Yes. As the record shows, I was the only one that voted against it. I voted against the LEDs in downtown, particularly along Biscayne Boulevard and all of that. But I have, I am torn between the billboards that are for the PAM and for the arch. And I'm going to tell you why. You see, the one for the PAM, it faces 395. It's at the end of the park and doesn't bother the neighbors. My concern was with the neighbors, how much it was, and also the aesthetic. I didn't want any advertising in Bayfront Park because that park was called the Central Park of Miami. Central Park in New York doesn't allow any advertising. You have to be about 4 miles from the park. But being the PAM a museum, and that maybe it is my discipline, but I start thinking about if all the proceeds goes to the museums, that in the long run might help us. And I'm going to tell you why. Most of the museums in the world, they are subsidized either by the city or the state or the county, which is our taxes. They're subsidized. And if the proceeds go totally into the operation of the museum, that will free us from discussing and to subsidize, because I know they're going to come and ask for a subsidy. Just as the arch, it is subsidized by the county with our taxes. You see? So I would like to maybe defer this so we can analyze it a little bit more.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner,
may I give the background on the item and the information?
please.
Thank you very much. This item came to our district office because we started getting calls in November and December about a structure that was being erected, which at nighttime, the welding on the structure was causing people to take notice and interrupting them. It was a bother. We received a lot of comments, and if you go online, actually, all of our online comments almost exclusively are against these structures. So we instructed the city manager to please investigate the permit for the structure, which they started doing, and we received a lot of information on. We also went back to the ordinances, and we saw that when there wasn't a D2 commissioner in this seat, which would naturally be receiving this kind of feedback, the commission passed 2 ordinances. One in January, I think it was 14128, sponsored by Alex Diaz de la Portilla, and a companion item, 14140, sponsored by Commissioner Joe Carollo, both pretty much allowing for these oversized signs. Just so that you can appreciate the size of these signs, the state maximum, meaning the maximum in the entire state of Florida, is 950 square feet as a size. Maximum height is 65 feet. These signs are 1,800 square feet, larger than my house.
Twice as much as
Wait, size. You're allowed 2 signs per pedestal, per base, and the base can go to a maximum of 100 feet in height. That completely changed the game a year ago when it came to these signs. So what we're trying to do is repeal those ordinances, and in the meantime, work on our ordinance to update in a way that makes sense, particularly that tracks state law and also includes community input, because a very important factor here is that the community was not consulted. I asked for what was done with the community in downtown and surrounding areas. I received 2 letters, one from the Downtown Neighborhood Association opposing these signs, and the other one from the Biscayne Neighborhood Association, which I met with yesterday, who absolutely do not support these signs. Yet the letter says, it reads beautifully about the process that was done to include community input. So given the fact that there has been no community input, at least, or very little, given the fact that these signs are extraordinarily large and out of character for the neighborhood, we should really rescind this and give us 30 days. We'll come back with an ordinance. We'll also simultaneously, and that's why the moratorium piece was included with this, there's a system called zoning and progress that Miami Beach introduced in the 2015 ordinance, and I would ask the city attorney and the administration to look if we can create a permitting and process similar to that, which allows the process to continue, but ultimately when that period ends, it goes back to the new law under the new ordinance. Pam, I believe, is in a very different situation, and I think there's state issues that whether it's because these sizes are allowed for on-site premises signs,
Yes.
which means that they would be on-site, obviously as implied. However, according to that, they shouldn't be generating income, which I mean, the whole point of this is to generate income. And I feel very bad that this is kind of pitting gem cultural organizations that we all support and we all want to see flourish, that do need the income, against the neighborhoods where they reside in. So I'm hopeful that we can include community input, that we can come to a place where that division really doesn't exist, and we can introduce in 30 days a more cohesive ordinance, while at the same time we allow for some kind of permitting and zoning, which will take longer, but if there's any kind of mayoral veto, would also take care of a situation.
I understand, and as you read the records, I totally opposed it. And my opposition was that we had not received community input, and also I asked for illumination study to see how much the neighbors were affected, and I didn't receive any. And I voted against the ordinance totally. But I want, just for the record, I want to know if the state has any opposition to this sign, or the state, I don't know that, excuse my ignorance, of the state grants any, I would say, the permit of exception to this type of sign, or, and I agree with you. I believe if it goes, it is a huge sign, and I agree with you. If that's why I said we might defer this, but I'm thinking now about voting for it. If we can hear from the people that did this sign, particularly the one next to the museum, and maybe reduce the size, or an analysis has been made of how much how they can affect the residents. My problem here, just as yours, is the residents. How can we avoid the residents? But at the same time, we have to be a little pragmatic and say, okay, maybe we can benefit the museum, which we will, at the end, in the long run, we will have to subsidize. We can help the museum, and we cannot affect we will not affect the residents, because the way that is placed and all of that, I want to hear that.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Cabello asked to speak next. He's Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. I think you went over 5 minutes, Commissioner Pardo, but we won't hold that against you. Just so you can see how easily it is to spend a lot more time than 5 minutes debating up here. And I'm not complaining. I think it's needed. First of all, when you mentioned that I voted for one of those ordinances, I think what you're referring to, if my memory is correct, to the pedestals that could only be up to 400 or less square feet. But if not, then read to me what I voted if you have it there. But the pedestals is what I remember. There was the ordinance that I sponsored from the Bayfront Park Trust that they voted for it, and I brought to the commission. But it's neither here nor there. The two big signs that I think you're mentioning that are under works right now, besides Pam, I think, is the Arch Center. Those are the two big ones. We've heard from Pam how far they're underway. I'm not sure how far the Arch one is. And the pedestals at Bayfront Park, I don't know what the status of that is. I know that at least in some, they've gotten permits, but I don't know what they've done. The issue here is that City of Miami officially approved this. And if, like I'm hearing, they've gotten permits and they've signed contracts, and they have some, as I'm hearing from Pam, that are basically done, and you got these companies that bought all this material, whatever it is that they had to buy to put these up. The museum, the Arch Center are expecting X amount of dollars in return. We got a problem with them. And then I don't want anybody here to jump to the city attorney's office and say, you know, you're creating all these lawsuits. Or for this commission to instruct the city attorney that you got to settle the lawsuits or you can't spend money in a lawsuit. Because I'm telling you now, from everything that I'm hearing here, is that the city, after it legally approved the ordinance that we did, and the museums, whoever else went forward, based on those ordinances, have bought material to put the billboards up, have gotten permits, and the museums have signed contracts. We're going to have all kinds of problems in liability. We're going to have liability to the museums. We're going to have liability to the companies and the Arts Center. And I don't know who else, and it's out there that, you know, I don't know about at this point in time. So I just want to bring this out, that if this is a case that this is the first time, I think there wouldn't be any problem in approving this. Now, you know, it's how do you go back without paying the piper? And that's all that I want you to know. You guys decide. If you want to decide that you want to pay the museums whatever contract they had, and if I may ask, does anybody know, maybe the museum people could tell me, how many years is the contract that was signed for? Do we know? The administration knows? Can I respectfully request, Madam Chair, if there's anyone from the Paris Museum or the Arts Center that could tell us for how long the contracts were?
Commissioner Mark Rosenblum, Chief Operating Officer, Pres Art Museum, 20 years.
20 years.
Yes, sir.
And what was the income that you were going to be given guaranteed?
Minimum just over $1 million, and certainly could be up to $3 million a year.
Well, it could be, but I'm saying the guaranteed, because that's what we would fight in court.
Just over $1 million.
Okay, so just with them, we're looking at $20+ million minimum. They might be able to convince the court that, you know, they should get more than that, but the minimum guaranteed is just over $1 million. So we got over $20 million that we would have to be in a situation to probably pay them. With the Arts Center, I would imagine it's something similar, but I don't know. I'm only going and theirs. What the billboard companies are going to claim that they would have made, that they're going to lose, I have no idea. That, I think, is more speculative. You know, because they could claim they'll make $5 million a year in each billboard, but that's speculative. What is not is the guarantee that they gave the museum or the Arts Center.
So,
Hold on a second. Commissioner Gabella wanted to say something when
in
he's
the
finished.
case of the Bayfront Park Trust, I think there were 4 pedestals that are under 400 square feet. The guarantees, if my memory is correct, was at least $400,000 a year. But that's us, so we don't have to worry about that. You know, what we'll have to worry about is what they're going to claim that they would have lost in revenue. So I'm just bringing this out here so everybody knows, what we're facing.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Gabella would like to speak. Well,
So very, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, Commissioner Gabella, go ahead, because
So
everyone else has
what I
already
was,
spoken.
what I was, so I'm hearing, and I've met with the people from PAM and others, and I understand they've already spent 9.5 mil, I understand, in construction on the PAM and the permits, and then we're talking about the ESH. May I propose maybe a negotiation, if it's amendable to you, it's amendable to the rest of the commissioners, two options here. In the case of the PAM and in the case of the Arts Center, why don't we grandfather them in and then let that be that? Or why don't we just say, you know what, we're not going to do it in parks or areas that are green? You tell me, Commissioner, I respect because it's your area that's going to get affected, but just a thought.
I would be amicable to that, Commissioner, and that's the right way of doing it.
That's right.
By the way, the only thing is that let's look at all the others that are out there. So you bring one motion with everybody in, so that we don't have the liability to carry from anybody. I don't care how it's done, but that's the right way. Otherwise, you see the problem that we're going to have.
If I can, Ace, you could come.
Madam Chair,
Let me
may
I
ask-
just want to ask one question.
Can I speak? Do I
Of course.
Okay. Commissioner Pardo said that these signs are outside of the limits for the state. I just want some clarity on that because I understand that permits were granted. Are the signs out of scale?
So good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. The question that's still pending with the state is in terms of outdoor advertisement. And we have a meeting scheduled for this Friday at 11:30 with the state to answer that question. There's also the definition of establishment has not been clearly defined in the Florida statute, so we're going to clarify that with the state as well. And these are permit conditions that are on the permit as it stands right now, and those things need to be satisfied prior to a certificate of completion being issued on this particular sign.
Okay. Which one was first? I think Commissioner Reyes was first.
I'm all for eliminate. I mean, just would say that it is making an amendment. Mr. Gabella proposed for.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Reyes.
Yes.
The audience can't hear you.
Okay. La máquina, ¿oíste? Okay. I'm sorry. I am all in favor of having an amendment that will exclude PAM and ARCH. But given the fact that now it has not been resolved if the state is going to approve it or not, or if it's going to require that those signs be smaller, what I'm going to propose is either we defer this until that meeting takes place, and then we will know what action we can take. If the state says it cannot build that size, then every discussion here is moot because the state supersedes us. You see?
Let me hear what our director has to say.
Commissioner, I don't think the size is an issue that's allowed by the code.
The size is allowed by code.
The size is the issue is not the size. The issue is what you can and cannot display on that sign. What is clear to us is that on-site advertisement is clearly allowed. It's off-site that's in question and has to be defined by the state clearly.
But can I ask you a question? What does that have to do? What I can advertise or can't advertise? What does that have to do with anything?
From what I understand, ma'am, if I may, and correct me if I'm wrong, that anything that you advertise, you have to sell in the store.
No, I understand that.
No. Otherwise, if it is not, it's not the property, you can advertise anything outside, I mean,
No,
all
I
over the world.
understand that, Commissioner Reyes, but my point is, if really the problem is, light pollution and, the sign itself and this and that, I mean, we're talking now, on the other side, we're talking monopolies that maybe
Oh,
the other competitors.
I got to see it. No, we are not discussing
Exactly.
what the advertisement
That's my
We are
point.
discussing the size and how much the residents are going to be affected.
Exactly.
That's right.
So, Commissioner Pardo.
I just had a quick question. The size is allowed by the code with the new ordinance, the one that was approved last year. The one that we're trying
Our
to...
city code, correct.
Right, the one we're trying to repeal.
Correct.
So I want to clarify a couple of things. I wouldn't envision any lawsuits occurring because of this, but even if we were, is there anything in the city code that shields us from liability?
Not saying whether there is liability or not, there's nothing in this, in repealing the ordinance that would shield us from liability.
In general, is there anything that shields us from liability, even without the repeal, just in general?
Other than, you mean like limits in Florida statute and all that, there's still, this would be, we would have to address it in court, unfortunately. Even though we say that there are no vested rights in any of these signs and the signage that we've created, we have right now a pending lawsuit that is all over signage. So.
Yep. Well, I mean, we could also get lawsuits coming the other way from the neighbors and the residents of the area. One very important point, and you touched on it, Commissioner Gabela, is the state requirements, the on-site premises. The reason these signs can go to that size and height is because they are on-site. And I think that's part of the clarification that you're waiting from the state. But all of these state issues are happening in tandem with our repeal and with us submitting new legislation and simultaneously working on a moratorium. So we're not envisioning stopping, or what we're envisioning is working with what exists and trying to bring back good policy that actually tracks the state, because if we are in violation of federal standards, we lose our federal highway funding, which is a very significant amount of money. So I would recommend, and we've done a lot of work on this and a lot of research on the issues, that we go forward with a repeal. We move forward with letting us have 30 days to introduce an ordinance, and at the same time move forward with the kind of zoning and process kind of structure that we might be able to move forward with.
Commissioner.
And I've heard here, the only thing that I would be willing to move forward on is the deferment until we clear the dust on this. Because I, for one, am not going to vote for anything that's going to put this city at dire jeopardy on tens and tens of millions of dollars, like we're hearing. This would not be BS, frivolous lawsuits. That would be one after another with the same title. This is going to be legit lawsuits that any judge could see that the city is going to end up with liability. So I for one, am not going to do that. Let's go back not that far into history. With a savior of the community that we recently had here, Commissioner Russell. He came here and he said that over at Watson Island, we had to pull the rug from that contract and throw those people out. He was forewarned by people in the administration, but he didn't care. And the rest of the commission, to appease him, went along with it. And what did that cost us? $20 million plus about $8 million in attorney's fees. But of course, since he was one of the chosen ones, nobody wants to talk about it. Just under the rug. And that wasn't that long ago that happened. And this one here, from what I'm hearing, it's going to cost us a heck of a lot more than that one. So
The more,
I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid in this one. I apologize.
Okay.
the moratorium, can I speak?
Commissioner Cabela.
No, but what I'm suggesting, and I mean, it was stated also that we have, if we violate also federal, the federal law, I mean, we are going to lose revenues also. That's right. And there's a lot of things here that are not clear. The liability, how much the PAM's going to lose. I believe that we have to, any action that we're going to take, that we should be very careful, because if that's going to initiate a lawsuit, if the Madam City Attorney, do they have grounds for suing? Everybody has ground for suing. The city.
Anybody can sue us.
I mean, and everybody sues us, you know. I mean, everybody that needs some money, they sue the city of Miami. You see, and we settle all the time. You see, but I wanna propose this. Why don't we analyze this a little further, and we come back to it. I agree with you in a moratorium. I agree with you in not having those LEDs in Biscayne Boulevard and in the park, or that monstrosity that was proposed also, that they call it a tree, you see, in the middle of Bayfront Park. I agree with you 100%, and I will vote for it. But those two signs that will benefit the museums, and they are not affecting I thought you liked me.
You're
No.
5 minutes long.
I thought you liked me.
No, my hand brushed. I didn't even realize my hand brushed.
You see,
against-
those two, I want to analyze it a little bit more. Maybe we can reach an agreement and make it smaller, or in order to be in agreement with the state. You see, because we still don't know if the state's going to say yes or no. You see, and maybe we can. I don't know. Maybe we can just defer this and analyze it a little bit more. And I guarantee you, you have my vote on getting rid of those LEDs that affect the neighbors. Right there, and that's why I voted against this from the get-go.
Can I just say one more?
Commissioner Cabela.
So, let me ask you a question. So what is it on the moratorium as opposed to if we defer? On the moratorium is to stop all work right now, right? Just to freeze everything, right? And the deferral really wouldn't be much different, would it? On the deferral, would the deferral be really, that radical different from the moratorium?
So the moratorium is going to take some time because it has to go to PZAB, to commission meetings. So it's going to take a while to get to that, which is one of the reasons we wanted to repeal this today, so that right now everything stops. If your concern is PAM was issued a permit. PAM's issues are with the state, not with this repeal or with the city. But I will ask the city attorney to clarify that.
So remember, if there is a repeal of the ordinance, that's just first reading, so nothing would take effect until obviously the effective date. With regard to a moratorium, as discussed, would be to stop all signage, permits, and those things. But that can't be done today. It has to go as the commission.
But it wouldn't affect PAM.
Right. So the moratorium is to bring back an item, an ordinance, that would say that all permitting for these type of large signs would cease or pause for a moment until we.
In other words, if we pass the moratorium, no more permits will be issued.
Right, but that's not today. Again, that is for an ordinance to come back before you. It has to go to PZAB,
Okay.
so that's a little bit of a longer process.
By repealing this, we will be also repealing the permits that were given to Pam and Arch.
No, so today is first reading of a repeal ordinance. That would not be allowing the signs to go forward. Then we would have to determine which of those signs are vested or grandfathered in or
Okay.
have already been approved
Okay, just
and then
what Mr.
become
Gabela says,
legal non-conforming and all that. So we would
We-
have to go through a process to determine.
we
What?
can come back and grandfather in those that are beneficial for the museums.
And
I can hear you.
We would have to determine which.
That's right. That we have the power to determine which one should remain or which one should not. Okay?
That's
Okay.
why
You got it.
deferment is the best way to go so that we could have everything very clear when this comes back.
in the moratorium, so in the moratorium, right, we're going to freeze everything, okay, and then we're going to restudy the situation, right, to put it simple. And is there a chance to then grandfather in, worst case scenario, the PAM and the other, the Ash Center, for example? Is that possible under the moratorium, or would we need to do that under the deferral? Is my question.
You would need
As long
to
as-
amend the ordinance to be able to grandfather in whatever you're thinking.
In other words, we're not going to grandfather it in today, but what we're saying is we have the right to grandfather it in tomorrow if this body so decides.
It would either be a deferral and we come back with the items. Arguably, you could do it on second reading, but that's a little messier.
If I may, because there's so much discussion here, and it seems as if we all need more information, I would be in favor of a deferral, because I don't want, well, as the only practitioner here, when we take an action and the body, whoever, relies on the action and they take steps in furtherance of our conduct, we have a problem. So before we start talking about repealing anything and putting moratoriums, I think we should all have the information before us, the complete information, because this is the first time I'm hearing that there's an issue with the state. That wasn't brought up during my briefings. So I would like to defer the item so that we can get more information and we have a complete picture of what is happening. So that would be my recommendation. Do I have a motion for deferral?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
If it's okay with you, I'd like to be, it's your district.
Yeah, I mean, for February 8th.
That's
So-
fine.
The next
Right,
meeting.
Right. I'm not saying to defer it out.
And I just wanted to say the only issue for me with the deferral was that all of a sudden you have people racing to enter the pipeline before we actually, that's the reason we had the repeal.
Well, there's not too much of a race between now and February 8th. So I don't take an issue with that, but I think that we should. And if my colleagues agree, I believe I have a motion and a second.
That's right.
I have a motion and a second. All in
Hold on a
favor?
second before the vote. I want, in order to avoid what Commissioner Pardo says, direct the manager not to accept any applications for any LEDs.
We can't
You
do
cannot
that.
do that.
You can't do that?
We cannot do that.
Well, but
Why
we'll
not?
know it anyway, Manolo, because if there's new applications, we'll
It
know
will
it
be
then.
affected by whatever we come
fine.
up with.
Fine.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The item has been deferred till February 8th.
And Chair, my apologies, we were discussing FR1 and DI9 at the same time. Does that mean both of those items will be deferred to February 8th?
My
FR1
colleagues.
and DI9?
FR1 and DI9?
Yes. Well, actually, DI9 was a moratorium. We discussed it today. We're
So-
going to be bringing back an ordinance anyway at that time.
No, perfect. So we'll show DI9 is discussed. Thank you.
Yes.
That was what, FR1?
FR1. And Victoria, I believe you needed to read into the record the titles for our first readings. So if you could read FR1 and FR2 now.
FR1 we just deferred and discussed, no?
Right.
Okay.
So-
And then FR2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-33 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Administration, Mayor, and City Commission,
order of business and rules of procedure to limit the time for debate and discussion by members of the City Commission containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Now, if I may, I would like nothing more than to have a limit on the time that I and my colleagues speak, but that is not my decision, and I cannot say to any of you, you cannot speak beyond. There are going to be issues that you're going to be passionate about, and 5 minutes may not cover it. And for me, I will not support creating a law that limits what you can say. And I understand that you can go beyond the 5 minutes and but there are items that will come, and the previous issue that we just discussed is an example of how everyone will go beyond, and we have to be respectful. For me, I would limit all of us to 2 minutes, but that's not feasible for us because we are creating law, we're advocating for our community. So I just wanted to say that, but of course it is the will of this body. Whatever you decide, I will go with, but that's my position on that, and I will allow Commissioner Pardo to start the discussion because this is his item.
So the intent of the item is really to have a mechanism by which we check ourselves, because not only do we have to be respectful of each other and this body, but we have to be respectful of residents who we limit to 2 minutes to come here. And I think when we expound for 45 minutes and we eat into the time of a meeting, and it ends up where we have to defer significant items that are important to city business, we're damaging the city and we're damaging our body. So if it's not 5 minutes, if it's not 5 minutes with another 5 minutes extended by the chair, another 5 minutes extended by the commission, I would really like us to consider a way to limit the ability for basically a monologue that's 45 minutes, because that doesn't serve anyone.
Madam Chair.
I'm going to start on this side and roll my way
Okay,
down.
okay.
Commissioner Gabella?
Look, I mean, on the, it's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, we do have the right to speak. We're commissioners. We're duly elected by the citizens, and I see, your point. I mean, if we all respect each other, and it goes like today, I think we got no problems, honestly. Or maybe we could do something different instead of saying, well, we can't speak for 5 minutes, which is true. Sometimes it's not fair to them because they can only speak for 2 minutes and that's it, but we can go on and on and on. And so maybe we can say, well, you know what? The maximum would be 15 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't know, whatever you guys.
That would be fine.
I mean, I'm not the only person here that, sometimes I go over, too. I try not to. But, that's my take. I mean, whatever you guys.
Commissioner? Vice Chair?
Thank you. So now we're going to be limited in how much we could speak up here. In a city that some of us won't even be given 2 minutes in some of the local media. Individuals can go out and demagogue items that are going to come before the commission for hours and hours, and they could say whatever they want to about items that are coming here that it's not truthful, and we're going to be limited to 5 minutes. Look, I haven't seen any item in this new commission that has come up here that anyone has taken advantage and has tried to talk and talk and talk and nonstop. Frankly, the only times that this had happened in the last 6 years that I saw was when Commissioner Russell was here. And if he didn't get his way, then he wanted to talk and talk forever to try to tire people to finally go his way. But that's not the case with this new commission that we have here. And I find it pretty outrageous that we're elected by the public, and now we're given 5 minutes to discuss the public's business. We would be doing the greatest disservice to the public if we only give ourselves 5 minutes where we can air out many things that otherwise would be air out, and maybe that's the intention, I don't know. But the bottom line is that we were elected to intelligently, professionally discuss items, come to the best conclusion, get to the facts. And there are items, that we could lump together, we could all vote for, but there are many items that it is impossible to do it. And that right should never be taken from elected officials. The only places that I see this happen lately in are all these new governments of the men of the 21st century, that they call them, where the first thing they want to do when they come in is change the Constitution. And then, of course, they're going to limit what you have to say. If this is what we become, then we might as well put the Socialist Flag International in front of the city of Miami and forget about the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll do the International Socialists every meeting when we start. I know that some will be very happy with it, but I won't be part of that. And Madam Chair, you've been here for quite a while now. You know, that's why you spoke the way that you did, that this is not reasonable. It doesn't make sense. And it is not good government.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, I know, and nobody has to, I've been here also, that some of us have used and abused the unlimited time. I know, that's a fact. But I want to remind you that we use a Mason, you see, rules. And Mason rules give the chair the power to interrupt and quiet anybody that is abusing the time or is talking out of order. And what I wanted, or any one of us can ask the chair to intervene and say, that is enough. You see, you're going on the tangent and you are not talking about the problem, the issue on hand or whatever, you see. But I'm going to ask the chair to be very strict with us and keep us in line, you see. And if you have the power to shut the microphone, like you did to me a little while ago, okay? Okay? So I'd rather, instead of having a 5 minutes, and besides that, I want to clarify this. Many people for what I hear, maybe of my age, and I'm not understanding what people are saying, but it is not, the 5 minutes is not for an issue that we are arguing. It is, if per person, per commissioner, that you have only 5 minutes to speak on that issue. And that, I think, it is, just go back to the item that we were discussing before. You see? We're back, we took turns, different turns. You see? Different turns, and speaking either in favor or against. You see? So, but instead of having this limitation, what I want is all of us to be in agreement that any one of us is exceeding the time. It is going out on the tangent that we request the chairperson to shut my microphone, and that's it.
I will not shut off my colleague's microphone. I will not do that. But I do recognize that we do not need an ordinance or a rule to police ourselves. We are a new commission, a fairly new commission, and they're growing pains. We will settle in, and we will be able to say to each other as colleagues, just like I just wrapped it up, we were going, and I said, I believe we have the temperature for a deferment just by listening to you, but not saying to any one person, you can't, or you've hit your 5 minutes, and then we have to go about saying, okay, you can have another 5 minutes or so. I don't think we should create such a stringent code, myself personally. Commissioner Gabella?
What I was going to say was,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, he wanted to.
I was looking at you, and I meant to say you. I'm sorry,
That's
Commissioner
okay.
Pardo.
I think the intention of what this resolution is pretty clear. I would be very satisfied knowing that I could refer to the chair to intervene when something, in my estimation, has gone, to a moment. So I'd be happy to withdraw this or however you want to deal with it. Knowing that for me is sufficient.
Well, we have the sponsor of the item willing to withdraw it. I think we should act on that. Do I have a motion?
Chair, no motion is necessary if the sponsor is withdrawing it on their
Okay,
own.
no motion is necessary.
I was just going to say that I pledge from now on that I am going to behave myself, okay, and will abide by other rules. And I think if we all do that, we won't have a problem.
And for the most
and
part,
respect each other.
right? And for the most part, we too, none of us are perfect. We're human, and we get excited and we get passionate, and then we wake up and start another day, and we continuously do better as we go along. So the sponsor has withdrawn the item. Moving right along. We have only 7 PZ items, and I'd like the city attorney to read into the record those items, the titles that need to be read, and then we can pull out for discussion if we need to any of the PZ items. Madam City Attorney, would you please read the titles into the record for PZ 4, 5, 6, and 7?
Right now, those are the only ones then, Madam Chair?
See, the PZ 1, 2, and 3 do not need to be read into the record. The titles do not need to be read into the record.
PZ 4, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures subject to 163-3187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from major institutional public facilities, transportation, and utilities to restricted commercial of the acreage described herein of real property at 1852 Northeast 2nd Avenue, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings and providing for an effective date. PZ 5. PZ 4 is going to need an amendment. We'll describe it in a moment. PZ 5, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by changing the zoning classification from CI, Civic Institution Transit Zone, to T636B-O, Urban Core Transit Zone Open for the property generally located at 1852 Northeast 2nd Avenue, Miami, Florida, more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ 6, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures subject to 1633187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from medium-density multifamily residential to medium-density restricted commercial of the acreage described herein of the real property located at 118 Southwest South River Drive and 437 and 445 Southwest 2nd Street, Miami, Florida, more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings and providing for an effective date. PZ 7, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending zoning atlas, the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by changing the zoning classification from T4R, General Urban Transit Zone Restricted, to T50, Urban Center Transit Zone Open for the property approximately located at 118 Southwest South River Drive and 437 and 445 Southwest 2nd Street, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. And now I will ask my colleagues, starting with Vice Chair, do you have any PZ items that are before us, 1 through 7, that you would like to take out for discussion? You're okay? Okay.
One of those days that I would like to limit all of us to 5 minutes so we get out of here quicker. But this is what we're here to do, so of course we're going to
Exactly. Commissioner Reyes? No items. Commissioner Gabella? Commissioner Pardo?
I have a Jennings disclosure on PZ1, and I think they have a special appearance.
Okay.
Are we doing PC1 or are we doing 4 through 7?
We're doing all of them, 1
we're
through
doing all
4.
of them?
So, may I have a motion to pass PZ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7?
Motion.
I have
Quick
a
question,
motion.
even though there's a special appearance,
I
we
mean,
still
if
vote
we're
on
going to
it?
pass it, we don't need a
Yeah,
special
I'm
appearance.
fine.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor
Chair.
of...
Aye.
Chair.
Hold
So-
on. PZ
PZ
Three
3 needs to be amended.
as amended, Exhibit A,
PZ 4
PZ 4
needs
and
to be
5
amended pursuant to the planning
as
director.
amended,
And then
4 and 5.
PZ 4, 5, 6, and 7, only the supporting documents need to be substituted, but that will not amend the legislation.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just had a question. Since there's a special appearance for PZ1, can they go ahead and, or
There's
because
no
it already, I would like to read into the record just so that it exists in the record because Mr. Elvis Cruz gave a presentation earlier that was pertaining to that item. First of all, I very much appreciate Mr. Elvis Cruz, and he was integral in us coming up with the final covenant. So a lot of good things came into this, but we met with the actual neighbors impacted. We met with the activists in the community, and we had a representation from the HOA, and they all agreed to this covenant. So, you know, this is highly...
Having said that, which goes on the record, I don't necessarily think we need unless you just want to because we're ready to vote on it.
Madam Chair, the problem with covenants, I'm sorry, we have to hold developers' feet to the fire. So if we can, whatever changes,
Yeah, there's
I
a
would
chain
like-
modification to
There's a, okay.
There's an update that should have been...
Okay, so if you could read that
gotta
update into the record so we can vote on, making sure we vote on what is before us.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ben Fernandez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here on behalf of the applicant for PZ1. We made some minor changes to the covenant in order to add additional restrictions for the neighborhood. We've provided those to the law department as well as to your city clerk. And what they are is essentially in paragraph 2A, we have added the abutting property into the definition. There are two properties that are the subject of the covenant so that it's clear that the restrictions apply throughout the entire project. We've also limited the hours that any sound can emanate from the property from 10 p.m. Up to 10 p.m. and no earlier than 8 a.m. And we've added a provision concerning a landscape buffer in item 2J that requires a continuous landscape buffer of Spanish stoppers or similar native plant species, a minimum of 14 feet high at the time of planting, subject to City of Miami approval. It's basically the gist of the additional conditions, and you had the other conditions already in the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a motion.
Chair,
and a-
yes, my apologies. You do have a motion, a second, moved by Commissioner Gabella, seconded by Commissioner Pardo. But also for the record, PZ1 needs to be amended due to the new covenant being submitted to the record.
So
For the record, 8, PC 8, 9, 10, and 11 were
Deferred. Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second for the items as amended and or substituted. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That concludes our PZ items.
Madam
For-
Chair,
Thank you.
we have to go back to PH1, and I
I-
have to read.
I know.
And I have to read a script before, just in
Okay,
case
so
it
I'm
goes
just,
fast.
I'm just letting everybody know we've wrapped up our PZ items. We are going back to PH2. PH2, do you have something to read for the record for PH2?
No, we just have to, I believe we have to vote on it, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. So do I have a motion for PH2?
PH2, I thought we had done that. Motion, if there's no,
Yeah, and I'll second it.
Yeah. So I have a, yes?
And Chair, it's my understanding that PH2 is going to be amended to add the covenant that was submitted for PZ1? Is that correct?
Yes, it's a condition.
So PH2 as amended to include the covenant. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. That will conclude our PH items. We have left remaining RE1, the budget amendment for fiscal year 2023-24.
Yep.
Will staff be coming forward to make a presentation on that?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Good to see you. Happy
Commissioners.
Thursday.
Same to you. Marie Gowen, the Budget Director for the city. RE1 has discussed it with all the commissioners. I will also be submitting the exhibit to the record for the resolution. The only change that will be, I'm suggesting now, is the festival and events was $1 million. We're reducing that to $250,000, and it would be taking out the Miami River boat parade and moving the difference, the 750, to the reserved amount, which would make it $6,080,000.
So let me be clear. None of our festivals or events will be affected with this budget reduction.
Yes, except for the Miami River reduction.
I've got one account.
Go ahead, Commissioner Cabello.
Okay, so I got two things. The 250 that was given to the Miami River Commission that they did not want because they felt the boat parade would have to open bridges, this and that, and it would be more problems than more problems than what it was anyway. It was given to the River Commission. They sent it back. That was supposed to be for my area. I understand, but the way I understand you're putting it back into the general fund.
Yes. We're taking out because,
But wasn't that part of District 1?
no, we are taking, what we're doing is, it was listed as one of the festivals. We are removing it from the general fund.
But that included, Commissioner, several districts through the river.
Okay, so-
Not just D1.
All right, thank you for correcting me, Mr. Correa. So I stand corrected. My problem here with the budget is that, you guys said it yesterday, but I want to discuss it today. I'm not comfortable with the idea of taking 3.2 mil out of the police budget, okay, to work up that 25 mil that we had the budget amendment. I think you guys, yes, in the briefing yesterday, didn't I hear right? I was there. I heard that 3.2 mil was taken out of the police budget. Yeah.
No, we're not touching.
Oh.
We are, except for the vacant position.
Mr. Spring, we can't hear you.
Frank was there. I was there. Damian was there. We're not crazy.
The,
3.2 police.
it's part of the budget amendment.
Right.
There's an $11 million reduction that will be done for non-sworn position, non-first responders, For positions that are vacant currently, we all will be freezing. We will not be eliminating the position. They're being frozen for the rest of the fiscal year to make up the $11 million.
Okay, I understand that, but is that so what you're telling me is that you're not going to do any new hiring, right? Is that correct?
No hiring, no.
No hiring, but does that include the police department?
Police department, but not police officers, not sworn officers, not first responders.
And not the 100 officers that, for example, we need because we're short right now?
No.
No, those positions
No.
will be filled. Those aren't
They're
impacted.
saying only non-sworn. That
So-
would
so-
be
so- right.
that would be persons like clerks
That
that
would
work
be
in the
clerks,
office,
administration.
that kind of thing.
Secretaries and things like that.
Support staff,
Support staff?
yes.
So my concern is that I was talking, Larry, I don't know where Larry is, but we were...
Mr. Spring,
Yeah, where is Larry? Larry, we were talking a while back about, not yesterday, but the week before, and I said, man, I'm committed to giving the police department the officers that it needs, but the problem that we have is I've been told that we're never competitive with the county, that the county's like 10 grand more than what we pay, so we start our guys at 52, 53, the county's at 62, and I don't know, remember the conversation, how can we get it up there to attract?
We are actively in negotiations with the FOP. One of the priority items is to close the gap on our starting salary. So that's something that we're dealing with as part of our labor negotiation.
And modify the steps. We understand that when we did the comps, specifically as it relates to our department and other departments of our size, by the way, there is need for improvement. It's not 10,000, by the way. I think you probably got given some bad information, but we're not that far off. But that's our intent anyway. It's part of the negotiation. We're very close, by the way. This budget amendment won't impact that. So, we still, when Maggie gives her budget update, right, which is an item further down the agenda, it's highlighted on there that we allocated money specifically for labor contracts. And particularly because we have 3 still remain.
So you're saying that the 3.2, and it says police, is basically that what you just said?
We put a footnote. We put a footnote in the exhibit. It was distributed on what was exempted, and what was exempted was sworn positions and public safety. So existing positions that are vacant in police and fire, as an example, will be filled if they're sworn positions.
Yeah, but fire was 200K. I read that somewhere in here.
No, I'm not giving you sort of order of magnitude.
No.
I'm just saying that sworn positions. In other words, we have firefighters. We need to fill positions. Those positions are going to get filled. They're not impacted. Same with police.
Same with police. And now that we're on the subject, are we making strides, and are we going to get there to be competitive with the county so we can attract guys and so we can keep our guys and they don't start,
Yes,
resigning
that
because
is
the county offers more money?
Yeah, again, we are, I don't want to get into it right now because it's part of the labor negotiation process. Don't want to interfere with that legal process, but it is a priority. It's something that we've already dealt with actually in the process. So I don't want to tell you yes because it has to be ratified.
So I'm not going to go on and on. To cut it short, very simply, the 3.2, you're guaranteeing us that it's not going to be, it's not going to have any bearing on the factor that we're going to be able to be more competitive, and you're guaranteeing me that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it will not impact our intent, right, to make sure that whatever labor agreement we bring to you, right, will be from a recruitment perspective.
Not labor agreement. We're talking labor agreement, but we're also talking that we're going to make it that we are competitive in competing with the county in our rookie salaries going from 50.
Commissioner, so you understand, that's all dictated in the labor agreement. So that entire salary scale, that step scale is actually in the labor agreement. So when we negotiate it, and we negotiate what we feel is a competitive salary structure, that's all in the labor agreement. That's all mandated by that agreement, just so you understand.
And Commissioner-
That's why we refer to it.
Commissioner, we have, because I share your concern, and we train some of the finest, and they take our training, and we invest in them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they go to other municipalities, other jurisdictions. So we have had that discussion.
All right, that's my concern. I
yes.
trust you guys. If that's what you say, that's
Commissioner Pardo.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Were the capital appropriations to our district office affected?
Repeat that again?
Were the capital appropriations to the district of the commission district offices, were those affected?
Yes, they were.
How much?
By $1 million right now for each.
And which budget in that is it? Which budget exactly is the one that's affected for each commissioner?
So in the original budget, which was at the higher millage rate, we had a item that appropriated $2 million each per district office for discretionary capital projects. So as part of our modification, we reduced that by $1 million per district.
And can I ask you a question? How come we can't take that out of the non-departmental accounts, the NDA?
So the non-departmental accounts is where we house reserves and things. The reason why we did it on the record that evening, because that was the quickest single budget amendment we can do on the floor to be in compliance with trim, and then we knew we were going to come back and separate it.
So you're saying it can change?
Yes.
It can change going forward.
Madam Chair.
Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second.
That's going to affect all of us.
I believe I said in my briefing, and I was told it would not happen, I do not support any money taken away from District 5, not for programs, not for services, because I did not vote for any reduction in the budget, and my constituency should not suffer for that. And I believe I said that in my briefing, and I was told that no money would be coming from District 5.
So we did consider that, but this.
Okay, but when we consider that, then you need to come back to me to tell me that, oh no, this is what we're coming before, because I was clear. Do not touch any money from District 5. I did not vote for a budget reduction, and I should not, nor should my residents suffer because of this budget reduction.
So if the chair will allow me, what we did talk offline with the manager, and what we're able to do right now on the floor is make a modification and offset that $1 million for your district against our reserve, the salary reserve.
Hold on, Commissioner Gabella. Hold on a second. Commissioner Reyes would like to speak.
I just want to remind every one of us that this reduction on district office was presented, was discussed as part of the reduction of the $25 million.
By the way, guilty is charged, because I was the one that guilty is charged. But
No, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I knew that it was going to be a reduction of.
No, we all did.
Of $1 million from the district office, and we voted for it.
No,
because we voted a reduction of $25 million.
Yes.
Okay, we voted a reduction of the $12 million. Yeah. And part of it, I might speak with an accent, but I don't talk, I don't hear with an accent. Larry clearly stated that was one of the sources that we can reduce. And it was stated like that, and we voted for it.
We discussed it.
It was discussed.
We discussed it, but I didn't agree to any
I don't agree with it
funding in District 5. Vice Chair?
Well, if you'll remember, I had stated to the administration that we should begin reducing on the $25 million from taking $10 million that was given to us as new money into our district office from there. Look, I know that you're talking about positions that are frozen, and what Commissioner Gabella was saying, and I know the answers that you all gave him, but indirectly, some of those positions will affect police officers. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't know how many positions are empty right now in the police department that are civilian, but many of those positions, if they're not filled, you know what's going to happen? You're going to end up with a sworn police officer taking over some of those civilian positions. So in essence, you will be taking police officers from the street. So I don't like the idea of freezing positions as a whole that we need in the city. If these are positions that we truly don't need, that we could get away with them, then let's eliminate them from the budget. But to take positions out of a budget that will be needed, and in particular if they're positions that you know fairly well that you could fill in within this fiscal year. If they're not going to be positions that you're definitely not going to fill in the fiscal year, then that's another story. But I don't like the idea of cutting and taking out of the budget positions that this city needs. I'd rather take it in a way as I described, from $2 million that none of our offices had before this fiscal year's budget, that we weren't expecting before, and that's less of a pain for the residents. I respect the chair and what she said, and she's right. She didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for this. But, you know, that's one opinion anyway, and I just want to put things on the table. You asked a question, you were given an answer, but I wanted you to understand the full picture of how it works.
So would I be alone in saying that maybe we should defer this to further?
No, I would agree with that.
I would agree.
Madam Chair, I might have maybe we can reach a compromise here. I agree with 100%, and I thought about it, what Commissioner Carollo said. And one of the problems that we had, and we've been working on it, is that those clerical positions that shouldn't be filled by a uniformed police officer. It's the same thing with fire. Those clerical positions should be filled by people that are not in the force, part of the force. But as of now, you are cutting them up. But what I'm saying is, what I'm proposing is, at mid-year, we are going to have a budget review again, right?
Absolutely.
And I would like to see those positions brought back to it. You see, make a commitment that those positions are going to be brought back so they cannot be filled by, because basically what we're doing is, and Commissioner Carollo is right, basically what we're doing is, we are, by making this, we're not hiring those, not filling those positions, we are reducing the police force because they're going to need police officers to fill that. And that is the truth. You see, I remember when I was doing budgets, that's the problem we had all the time. So what I'm proposing is to make sure that in mid-year review, we have those positions back, and we could fill those positions with people that are not police officers.
So, through the chair,
Mr. Spring?
functionally what we were doing in freezing the vacancies is managing our hiring process. So for instance, and this is theoretical, Commissioner Cabela, in theory, if we got a bunch of applications right now, the process to hire 100 officers is very protracted. And so you got to do background checks, they got to go through all these steps. So the position is there, but when we finally get, like I refer to them, a belly button in a seat, it's 6 months into the fiscal year, 7 months, and we've actually saved money.
That's true. And
So what we were trying to do in freezing vacancies is manage that process.
Right.
One of the things we wanted to put on the record as part of this is to give the manager the flexibility. So as to Commissioner Reyes' point, as we saw because we analyze the budget every month, and as we see the vacancy factor work financially in our favor, we allow for the hiring so that it doesn't affect officers going into. And conceptually, we do not want sworn officers in civilian positions. We have made this edict that we want them on the street.
Well, and we had already made that
Yeah, that's
transition
good, right.
both in police and fire because we had sworn positions filling clerical and administrative positions, and we had already started that transition to move away from that. So I think, and one thing that also needs to be stated is in every budget that's passed, baked into that budget is assumptions on vacancy.
Right.
Because you always have turnover, you always have to fill positions, and there's always a lag there where a position may not be filled and may not, you're not paying out in terms of payroll. So we bake in a number in every budget for that as well. So this is what it is it's enhancing that number.
Thank you. So what I believe is the temperature of my colleagues. I feel like perhaps we have the temperature for a deferment on this to get more information.
I'm for deferment.
Say something.
Commissioner Pardo?
No, I just wanted to add, when we voted, it was on the 25 million. I personally never agreed to take money out of our district office budget. And the reason that's important is because this is basically represents 2% of our budget. This should not be onerous. This should not be something where there's, fears about all these other things. This should be a relatively procedural, administrative way of dealing with it. And I believe it should be done in a way that's not retaliatory, either to the people who voted a certain way or to a body that's doing its job and lowering expenses.
So, do I have a motion?
Motion to defer.
I have a motion to defer.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. When will it be deferred to?
You have February 8th and February 22nd.
I think the 22nd because I want this
More time.
to flesh out and everyone gets an opportunity to be briefed and we look into this because I don't want to have to make any statements on the record again for the next time. But I believe you have your marching orders now. Thank you. So it's been deferred to the February 22nd meeting.
Fantastic. And for the record, I stated that my comment about us voting for it is that was brought up in our discussion. That different, the money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, no, we all agree.
Okay,
come from
and then that was brought up during our discussion.
At this time, it is 12:15, and we are almost finished with our agenda. I believe we have the Southeast Overtown Park West. What?
I need to read a script for a request for an attorney-client session for the redistricting case, just in case we need
For
it.
the what?
Redistricting.
Okay.
A shade.
I thought we were done with that.
What is she asking for?
She needs to read into the record
A request for a shade meeting.
a request for a shade meeting for redistricting.
Bef-
Please
bef-
go ahead.
Madam Chair, before we get to that item, could we do a really quick budget update since Maggie's already up here and that's the next item on the agenda?
That's just a quick
I
approval. This takes
don't care what order.
30
Just
seconds.
before we break, maybe.
There-
for
there's
lunch.
a
Before we
motion.
break, that's fine. I was only saying that we were going to break for lunch and start this CRA meeting. I wasn't saying the meeting was over.
I just have to, since when you get quick, I can't catch you, so that's why I have to jump in.
So go ahead and read the statement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the City Commission, pursuant to provisions of Section 286.0118 Florida statutes, I'm requesting at the City Commission meeting of February 8th, an attorney-client session closed to the public be held for purposes of discussing pending litigation in the matter of Grace, Inc., Engage Miami, Inc., South-Dade branch of the NAACP, Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP, Clarice Cooper, Jared Johnson, Janelis Valdez, and Alexandra Contreras versus City of Miami, case number 122CV24066 KMM, pending in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida, City of Miami v. Grace, Inc., Engage Miami, Inc., South-Dade branch of the NAACP, Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP, Clarice Cooper, Jared Johnson, Janelis Valdez, and Alexandra Contreras, case number 23-12472, pending in the United States Court of Appeals of the 11th Circuit and American Civil Liberties Union of Florida, Inc. versus City of Miami, case number 2023-023038CA01, currently pending in the Circuit Court of the 11th Circuit in for Miami-Dade County, Florida, to which the city is presently a party. The subject of the meeting will be confined to settlement negotiations or strategy discussions. This private meeting will begin at approximately 10 a.m. or soon thereafter, as the commissioner's schedules permit, and conclude approximately 1 hour later. The session will be attended by members of the City Commission, which shall include Chairwoman Christine King, Vice Chairman Joe Carollo, Commissioners Miguel Angel Gabela, Manolo Reyes, and Damian Pardo, the City Manager Arthur Noriega, myself, the City Attorney Victoria Mendez, Chief Deputy City Attorney John Greco, Deputy City Attorneys George Wysong and Kevin Jones, outside counsel Christopher Johnson and George Levesque. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that this session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the litigation. Thank you.
What
Thank
date
you.
is that for again?
February
February
8th.
8th.
February 8th.
After the meeting?
No,
Well, whatever time you decide
10
during
o'clock
the
and
meeting.
beyond.
Right.
From 10 and beyond.
No
All in
motions
favor?
necessary. No motions
necessary.
necessary.
She just needed to read it into the record. Okay, and now we'll have a quick budget briefing. That would be BU1.
Good afternoon again. Where we going? Budget Director for the city. I'm just going to go straight to the summary. I had emailed all the detailed reports, narrative that explains what's going on. We're right at the quarter, first quarter of the fiscal year, which is to December 2023. And remember, this is the first quarter preliminary numbers. If you look at it, we've collected about 50% of the revenues, but taxes are uploaded upfront. When we look at the expenses and the trend, this is what we come up with. I'm going to go to the last slide and kind of walk you through the summary. If you look at where we are, where we're projected through the first quarter for revenues, $1,071,000,000. Projected expenses, $1,046,000,000, which gives you over excess of $25 million. We're projecting that revenues will be higher, will be over expenses. And then internal service fund that we have within the city, there will be a surplus of $3.8 million. Which gives you 28.8. Also, the building fund reserve, the building dollars are separated, need to keep them separate, put them in reserve. We're pulling that aside out of the 28 million, which is 12.9 million, which gives you a net surplus end year fiscal year of 15.9. But that 15.9 also include those reserve that we put aside for obligations, and also $5 million in contingency, which is part of our financial integrity principle, which is for emergencies. When you do that, we know it's preliminary early in the year, really tells you that you will have a shortfall at the end of the year by 1.6 million. But at this time, we don't believe that will be the true fact.
Thank you.
Okay?
What do we have left in the regular meeting?
We have discussion items left for the regular meeting. Discussion item DI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I don't think we need to take up DI 8 though, do we?
Can you go over the discussion items that we have left?
Discussion items 1 is D3 park improvements.
That could be withdrawn.
Okay, so we're going to withdraw DI 1. DI 2, update on homeless.
Unless anybody else wants to keep it, it could be withdrawn.
I can withdraw. I get updates on the homeless all the time. So we can take DI 2 off. DI 3, State of Israel bond presentation. Keep that.
No,
I
Anybody like
love
to
you guys
defer
are-
it again or not, or?
Do you want to defer it? Would you like to defer it?
No, I think it's,
Keep it?
yeah.
Okay. DI 4, outside employment and disclosure, elected officials. Keep that. DI5, campaign finance reform.
Yeah, keep it.
That. DI6, city charter committee establishment.
Keep.
DI7, selection committee, search of new city attorney. I think that's an update, right? Okay. And DI8, ACLU map lawsuit. But I think we
handled that
We
already.
handled that already.
We did that already, right?
Yes. So we have,
And DI9, I do have a follow-up on there, but it's short.
okay, but that's been deferred till February 8th. Right.
No, that one, so Todd has it already as discussed and handled, and then we're bringing an ordinance on February
February
9th.
8th.
But, 8th.
Uh-huh. So that's what we have remaining, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 discussion items that we can take up after the break. At this time, I would like to recess our City of Miami Commission meeting for January 25th.
Chair, my apologies. Can I get a motion for DI 1 and 2 since it's on the agenda pursuant to City Manager's office?
May I have a motion to withdraw?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And at this time, we'll go into recess and take up the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting. And after that meeting, we will break for lunch. I'll tell you what time we'll come back after this meeting.
Okay.
Okay? And give us 1 second to flip the tape.
Flip the tape.
Do I have 4? Okay.
Let me see it.
Begin the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting for January 25, 2024.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon. May I have a motion to pass the minutes for the September 28th, 2023 meeting and the November 16th, 2023 meeting?
I'll make the motion.
I've got a
Second.
motion. I've got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Executive Director, would you please read the agenda items for CRA resolutions 1 through 11 into the record?
Madam Chair, Attorney Brown will read those items in.
Okay, thank you.
Item 1 is a resolution with attachments authorizing the Executive Director to execute a purchase-sale agreement between the CRA and Sheila Miller Marshall for the acquisition of real property located at 491 Northwest 19th Street, Unit 358, Miami, Florida, containing approximately 782 square feet. Further authorizes the Executive Director to engage William Bloom of Holland & Knight Law Firm to represent the CRA on all matters related to consummating the sale.
What are his?
Item number 2 is a resolution with attachments by 4/5 vote, authorizes disbursement of funds in the amount not to exceed $133,071 for preservation of historical cultural heritage by supporting cultural and arts programs. Item number 3 is a resolution by 4/5 vote, authorizes the Executive Director to disperse funds at its discretion to vendors on a reimbursement basis in an amount not to exceed $273,329 to Greater Bethel AME Church, located at 245 Northwest 8th Street for structural and electrical repairs. Item number 4 is a resolution with attachments by 4/5 vote authorizing additional funding in an amount not to exceed $118,000 to provide rehabilitation and preservation to the property located at 1750 Northwest 3rd Avenue. Further authorize the Executive Director to negotiate and execute the amendment. This is for St. Agnes Episcopal Church. Item number 5, a resolution with attachments. Authorize the Executive Director to piggyback on the City of Miami negotiated professional services agreement with Becker Polyakoff for the provision of federal and state lobbying services. Item number 6, a resolution authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate an MOU with the City of Miami for the use of approximately 2,286 contiguous square feet of CRA-owned property located at 1490 Northwest 3rd Avenue for exclusive use for the City of Miami to operate a code compliance office. This is with attachment Exhibit 8, which should be included. And so we're going to amend that item. Item number 7, a resolution by 4/5 vote authorizing the Executive Director to disperse funds not to exceed $203,700 to support Mount Zion development for the replacement of the air conditioning system and cooling tower located at the church at 301 Northwest 9th Street. Item number 8 is a resolution by 4/5 vote authorizing the Executive Director to disperse funds in an amount not to exceed $200,000 to Touching Miami with Love to assist with training certification and life skills program. For the record, Madam Chair, this is the funds that are being used to fund this program is non-TIF funding. Item number 9 is a resolution by 4/5 vote retroactively authorize expenditure of funds in an amount not to exceed $36,392.38 for the 14th annual Overtown Holiday and Tree Lighting Ceremony. This is another item, Madam Chair, that does not contain or require TIF funding. Item number 10 is a resolution approving a housing subsidy agreement between the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA and Block 55 Residential LP and an aggregate amount not to exceed $800,000. Further authorizing the Executive Director to execute all documents necessary to consummate the agreement. Item number 11 is a resolution with attachments approving authorizing the Executive Director to execute the second amended and restated MOU between the CRA and Block 55 LP, extending the due date for payment of monies due to the CR from the sale of excess density. Authorizing the Executive Director to execute all funds required to consummate the transaction. That item should be amended to attach Exhibit B to the item.
And at this time, I'd like to open up public comment for any of the items that have been read into the record. If there's anyone here that would like to speak on any of the items, the 11 items that are before us for the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting. Seeing none, public comment period is now closed. If I may have a motion to pass items 1 through 11.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Would you like to discuss any of the items?
Ma'am, before we vote, I have a comment. I spoke with the chairperson. And
before you say anything, Commissioner, I spoke with your doctor and he told me no.
No.
He told me no.
My doctor.
I spoke with your doctor and he told me no.
My doctor said, you see, one of the first things that you have to do to fight your disease is you have to eat a lot of pork ribs.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motions carry unanimously. Thank you. And this shall conclude the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting for January 25th, 2024. And at this, what time is it? It's 12:30. We can resume our meeting at 2:30. 2:30. Well, the City of Miami Commission meeting will resume at 2:30. Thank you all.